This video is brought to you by...
Stop. I just need this. God damn it. Alright. We are streaming. Okay. Okay. Up, up. There we go. That'll work. Another Iowa case? College student strangling. Where's this one at? What county is this in? Oh, Iowa City, University of Iowa. Okay. Last year, former University of Iowa student facing multiple charges, including attempted murder and theft after allegedly assaulting a woman after fleeing country and fleeing the country. Of just strangling and taking and stealing earrings? That's crazy. Why would you flee on that? Holy. You went to Jordan? That's kind of wild. Would be an interesting research. Okay. Have this shit going on in the background. Not a great story, but we'll make it work. Monopoly and wait, what if I do that? This looks bad, but whatever. Come back to this. Apparently, it just started.
Because I've had cases, I've had witnesses alongside a victim who were incorrect in what they thought they saw. So we obviously have to assess those as well when we consider what is the most likely possibility of what occurred.
You mentioned the body cams or the videos, and you also mentioned those videos of the first responding officers. Why is that important to the work that you do?
Because first responding officers, if you think about it, nothing has been touched there.
Right, it's kind of important.
Is pristine as you're going to get it, and I will say that many times, whether it be sometimes first responders. When I say first responders, EMS will get there prior to, and of course they're going to assess the victim. Sometimes they've captured that on body tape, body cams, but then they can take some notes.
Slow item.
Did what? But again, that's as close as we're going to get to a pristine scene.
You mentioned one of the things that you're looking for initially is trying to make a determination of the mechanism is what
I just went live. I've been live less than 10 minutes.
And if I have, let's just say I
Hi.
have
We just got, there's like 3 different cases. Raul Valle is on deadlock with the jury right now, so they're still deliberating. There's another Iowa student strangling one that we're going to start today that starts day 1 today. We're just kind of watching some shit in the meantime. This is what I do on my afternoons. A lot of times is I'll either watch slot videos, or I look for slot videos, and then we watch court stuff. How are you today? How's your day off going so far?
Likewise, if I have a cartridge case,
I couldn't get back to sleep, so
I'm going to go back to the lab reports to see if they did an examination, what caliber was involved. Then I'm going to go over to the medical examiner. Do I have a
playing some Monopoly in the background?
In other words, a penetrating wound is when the bullet goes in, but it doesn't exit. A perforating wound is when the bullet goes in and it exits. So again, that tells me there could be a bullet at the scene that they may not have recovered, or certainly considerations that have to be taken into account when you're evaluating the entirety of the scene.
Clearly, it's important to you to have an understanding of what caused the injuries. You talked also about the caliber of the bullet that was fired. Why would the caliber matter to you in the work that you do?
Again, not to get too technical, but certainly the mass of the bullet, size of the bullet has an effect, but it's actually the velocity of the bullet that has more of an effect. So again, if I have a high-speed caliber,
so probably need to get on that, trying to get. That's fair. That's fair.
Round.
Well, yeah, I would imagine with the weird work schedule that you've had like the last couple of weeks, like the different schedules, and then going down and getting the car and everything, kind of like probably put you in a little of a whack because you had to get up that early and shit, and like. But hopefully that gets you can get in your routine, easily. Because hopefully that will that's can be a fucking pain in the ass trying to get back into your routine of things. I swear my routine changes every fucking week at this point, or every 2 weeks.
So again, that's going to tell me what type of damage.
Like it just changed yesterday.
Penetrating wound versus a penetrating wound. Why is that important to your analysis?
For my weekly routine.
Well, of course. Well, again, remember a penetrating wound.
I also had to change my routine, not smoke.
Back spatter. I know that.
Hopefully this week will help.
I looked at it in the video. Any forward spatter, right? Because the bullet never exited. So I could have some back spatter as a result of the actual bullet once it made contact with the skin. That perforating
well,
round that's coming in, it comes in and it's actually going
rib a dab and
continue on with the bullet. So that's when I get that.
So wait, well, so do you have clothes in the laundry already, or do you have some sitting in a basket? Because that's my problem right now. Is I got some sitting in a basket. It's an ADHD routine. It's gonna making sure the things get done. Yeah. Well, you made a list right now of like 3 things that you need to do. You need to wash clothes, fold them, clean up the basement. That last one, you can break down into a couple different sections. Do like your section, Cam's section, and general common space.
Gunshot wounds. Does the number of wounds matter to you, and if so, why?
Oh, yes, sure. And the reason being for, let's say, the number of gunshot wounds.
Oh shit! Hold on.
And let's just say, perforating wound, it doesn't really matter going through. What that does for the second and subsequent shots, and I've had this happen where it creates a pool. And let's just say and I'm using this only because it's easy to see. In my face here, as the round comes through, I'm going to do some damage, and let's just say I do some damage to my jaw. And I'm going to have some bleeding going on. I have some saliva, but what that does is it creates a pool because I'm bleeding, right, actively bleeding. When that second bullet comes in, it's going to create that pool that causes that, say, additional back spatter. Because again, that energy's got to be released.
Damn it. Okay. Well, I missed trash. God damn it. Basket. I'm going to throw them on the bed, fill the basket, and put it in, fold the laundry while watching, and then start cleaning. A lot of times when I'm getting close together to clean habits. Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of just, that's the nice thing about if you have to still like collect clothes. It's so I do that at least a couple times a week where I'm like 2 or 3 times a week where I'll take a break from what I'm doing in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, what can I go clean up? What can I work on? Now that I've pulled myself away from my distraction, what can I work on? And then from there, you work from there. You see stuff as you go. You keep on your main task and then pick up as you as it goes around. That's big for us.
The spatter actually was inside the barrel of the gun because it gets projected back, again, trying to dissipate that energy as it hits that initial side of that sponge prior to going through.
All right.
I understand that your answer is going to be it depends, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. It does depend.
Well, but my question for you is, how far can that blood spatter travel? So that back spatter, excuse
I
me.
gotta fix the fucking my alarm for the trash.
4 feet, at least in some of the literature. There have been cases presented that are even further than 4 feet. I've had a case where it was as much as 8 feet, where there was some back spatter that was actually was some tissue that was detected as well, not just back spatter.
When you say tissue, I think it's fairly clear, but you mean biological material from the,
Such as skin or fat. Underneath the skin, you have a layer of what's called adipose, so fatty tissue that
Oh.
actually be dislodged in either back spatter or forward spatter.
before we talk about the work that you
Interesting.
did on this case, any other concepts that you think
Okay.
are important for the jury to understand?
All right. Press. This man is accused of strangling and then and murdering college student on the University of Iowa campus, and then fled to Jordan afterwards. This is 2 years ago, and then he got brought back, and now he's finally seeing court. Finally. Okay. I'm gonna lose that. Dude, he looks a little wild. It's crazy also. It's like, oh, I gotta go to court. Time to get out the flannel. Jesus, that's a little much. Like, I'm not like a suit and tie or like formal dress person, but homie, you don't have like a blazer or a jacket and like slacks? Like, why are you in a blue and white flannel? Oh, sorry, I'm a little judgy, but I just don't get it. I understand it. Chunking away at my Monopoly thing too. There's 2 Iowa cases going on, which is kind of interesting for me. They like bulk them up, I swear.
All right. Good morning to you all. I see we have both attorneys here. We did have some discussions
I need to look at like Law and Crime to see if they are hiring people. Or Court TV are hiring recorder people.
business. Mr. Powell, I believe there was some record that he wanted to make regarding motions in limine, and Ms. Zimmerman, I believe he wanted to make some record as well. So why don't I start with
Because this is kind of rough
what is your
audio.
understanding of the current state of the motions in limine? After our discussion yesterday, it was my belief that most of the limine issues had been settled. I think we may have an issue regarding one of the statements of one of the witnesses. So maybe I should go to Mr. Powell.
Yes, Mr. Powell can answer this.
Go ahead, Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did file a motion in regard to numerous witnesses with regard to the minutes indicating that they were testified to.
Goddamn.
We felt were irrelevant and prejudicial to our client. I think in the state's response, we have perhaps crystallized it down to one witness. And there was essentially one statement from that.
Okay.
Is that some
Should we take a resident? Try to take a resident?
in the month or 2 months prior to the incident on April 25th, a witness,
Because that sounds kind of nice right now.
my client told the witness outdoor, sort of in an offhand discussion that he wanted to kill someone on the motorway to Mexico. This was 1 to 2 months before April 25th. And certainly there's no allegation that it was in reference to his Rizzo or
Dude, this one's rough.
so, we believe that it is, like all the other evidence, it is irrelevant. It should be for this jury trial. And I do understand that the potential for prejudice is less
Let's see if I can find one other than law and crime. Is it only? We might switch back to the other. Yeah, because they're doing Karina Cooper. Yeah, we're gonna go to the Karina Cooper one. Okay, cool. Cool. Because this is way better audio. I just can't do that audio.
Cellular material begins to pull together and you have that leaching out of the serum onto whatever surface you're on. In fact, it goes so far as clotting can actually occur on clothing as well. No, and it could be for a number of reasons.
This lady is accused of hiring a hitman and to kill her husband and then run off with this hitman.
Cause clotting on the victim,
or a younger man,
clots
is what she's like. They claim that she did,
or whatever. So there is a possibility,
or the reason behind it.
For clotting
So,
appear on clothing, whether it be the suspect's clothing or the victim's clothing.
okay, let me know when you're ready.
Talk now.
I will
that you did in this case.
roast mine.
First thing that you did on this case.
Again, all of the photos, I would have looked at the entirety of the photos, and then I would have gone to the videos, the body cam videos.
So essentially, you followed that protocol or methodology that you outlined previously.
Yes, sir.
Should be fairly obvious, but what are you looking for when you get this initial information? You're looking at the photos and videos.
Again, looking to identify blood patterns that exist in the scene. So as I mentioned before, first we identify the patterns, then from there we're able to identify one of, say, 6 mechanisms, and then from those mechanisms, we know that, and I keep using that arterial spurt, and sometimes you hear people talk about
We'll do this.
You see this inverted U on a wall or whatever. Well, if I have that, then I want to go back to the autopsy report to see or determine as to whether or not I have some type of artery that's breached. If not, it could be some type of severe injury that's running down my arm as I happen to be moving around the scene. So identify the patterns, which give you the mechanism, which then you look for what could have caused that. Or
Oh, cool.
the victim or the suspect taken. Certainly, let's just say it's not uncommon to try to clean up a scene. So when you look, you may find white patterns. So when you look at the scene, here we have a victim who's supine, laying on the ground. They appear to be deceased, but yet here I have some white patterns that are either on the wall or they're on the floor.
Not bad at all.
It's been what we refer to as post-event
I know next break that this trial takes. I'm gonna go make some G Fuel.
You had body cam images in this case. What other information did you have access to?
I'm gonna need caffeine today.
1 minute, Your Honor. I actually received, I believe, most, if
Fix my
not all,
schedule.
of the information that was available.
Not looking forward to it.
Which, there is some of it I did not review, but I have a list. Do you need me to go through that? Of
No,
materials?
you don't need to go through that list. I think we can talk about it as it becomes relevant to the work that you did. You stated you
guess we'll try
relied on
this.
Photographs in reaching some of the conclusions in your report.
I'm not doing well.
Those photographs in the report you prepared itself.
So what I do is the photographs that I rely upon in writing my report, I actually make those a copy of my report. So essentially, as I write my report, my photos progress from 1 through whatever the number of photos I have. Likewise, I usually divide them up into areas of what I call areas of interest. So in other words, it might be the particular room here, it may be the actual victim here, it could be the suspect. So again, as we go through the report, the photos...
Can I clean them out in front of them? Oh, just barely.
I'm going to approach and show you what have been marked as States Exhibits 217 through 259.
Proud of myself for ordering these. You know what, though, honestly, you probably, from the sounds of it, you needed it. And it's just a better feeling. You don't have to stress about it then. Like, it's just so much less stressful. It's a better feeling overall.
Yes, sir.
You know what though? Yeah, I might just go make that now.
217,
Be honest.
259, by stipulation of the parties.
Ms. Watt, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, States Exhibits 217 through 259.
Second.
Submitted.
And
The state would request permission to publish.
You may.
Would it assist you in discussing the work that you did?
that's the woman that is accused
Included in your
killing her husband.
Yes, sir.
Any additional information that you
think she looks like a killer?
Look at these photographs.
No, sir.
Let's both.
A second.
Maybe someday we'll teach each other.
All right, I'm showing
let's do
what
that.
you have marked
That
in
might
your
make it
report
scale
as
better.
photograph Number one, that's States Exhibit 217. What are we seeing here?
So this
Okay,
is
so we need poison items,
side of
please.
the face, and we're looking at the two entrances.
Not what we wanted
Of note there, not only do we have
at all.
two entrance rooms.
Okay.
But we also have, if you notice, it's clear.
Should I upgrade that? I'm gonna go grab. I'm gonna go felt like.
You can see the stippling, those little red areas, they almost look like little red dots on the skin. Basically, that's the burnt is, again, as a bullet comes out of a firearm, not only does the bullet come out, but the primer residue, because when a bullet fires, in this case, you have the primer residue as well as the propellant. And as the bullet comes out, some of that propellant's coming out, some of it's burnt and unburnt, and some of that primer, if you do have a primer in there, but basically it gives you that indication of how close the firearm is. So what we see here is Mr. Cooper, his face has been washed down, the two entrance wounds as well as the stippling.
Could you use your laser pointer to point out the stippling that you were referencing?
So we have the entrance wound here, and we have the entrance on the lateral side and the medial side of the face here. And I'm sorry, you can see the stippling here going on, and we can pick it up. We can see it here as we look around here. So we have what, again, stippling. That's, whether it be in this particular case where it's red, that's some of the powder as it sears the skin when it contacts the skin.
As a forensic investigator, what does that tell you, if anything, about where the gun was in relation to Mr. Cooper's face when it was fired?
Well, normally what would happen is you get a range from the medical examiner how big that cone is, because when a firearm discharges, what will happen is that propellant or that primer residue will follow the bullet, and it comes out in a conical nature or a cone. And ultimately, it begins to, remember I mentioned before, gravity and air resistance, it slows it down, and ultimately it falls to the ground. Well, normally what will happen is that your medical examiner may, and not in all cases, either from the clothing or from the wound, get a pattern of how big that pattern is. And if you recover the firearm, you have to use the same ammunition, you have to use the same firearm caliber and make. Ideally, they use the same gun if they recover it. And what they do is test firings, usually of white cotton, at various distances to determine the barrel to distance of the firearm. But the fact that the firearm wasn't here, the best you can do is that the firearm, or at least the end of the barrel, was fairly close. And there are some textbooks that quote distances. The male, for example, would give you a distance when you have this type, or at least stippling, but again, the barrel is within a distance where you get that stippling or gunshot residue.
You noted the entrance wounds. Were you aware of any exit wounds?
There were no exit wounds, sir.
Why is that important to you?
Again, if you're looking for any type of forward spatter, not only that, but if I have an entrance wound here and I have an exit wound, let's just look at that example. Well, I would anticipate I'm going to have bleeding from both this side flow as well as this side. If I only have an entrance without that exit, so here I have the exit, then essentially when I'm looking at the photos, I'm saying, okay, the only source of blood is right here. And granted, there will be some out of the nose and mouth because I have the fracture, skull fracture, so I have the associated nose and mouth, but I'm certainly not going to get anything here. So again, trying to associate what I have in the photos with the wounds that have been documented by the medical examiner.
Showing you what's been marked in your report as photograph number 2. It states Exhibit 218. What are we seeing here?
This is the, I believe, east side of the house, and I believe in the reports, this was referred to as the front door here. If you notice, there's two steps leading down, and there's actually a railing that not only runs along the outer perimeter here, but it also goes across, and there's the actual gate.
This is a demonstrative that's previously been admitted as State's Exhibit number 305, which essentially is an overview of the crime scene. Would it assist your testimony to reference that as well?
Yes, sir.
Judge, with the court's permission, I would ask to once again publish State's Exhibit 305.
Okay, sorry.
You may.
I was picking up. You know that thing you were talking about earlier when you're like, oh, when I go to like pick up clothes and stuff and do laundry, the cleaning just kind of happens. It was me. I had to fill up my fucking water jug. Shit's for the. We're good now, though.
And we've heard some testimony previously that the door that we're seeing here is the door behind the recliner that Mr. Cooper was found in on the date of offense. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, sir.
Any further information from State's Exhibit 218?
No, sir.
12.
State's
Can't afford
Exhibit
it.
number 219, what are we seeing here?
In this photograph here, I'm trying to give an overall view of the scene. And again, we're looking at.
I don't even know if
here, as I mentioned before,
shielding will be worth.
Railing comes off the house, comes down and around, and you can see there's an actual gate right here opening. And what we have here is a piece of metal that goes across along the step itself, or just above the step.
Damn it.
And you can see the gates open, and likewise, we have this, I believe was a Michael Kors purse or a Michael Kors clutch, I'm not sure the correct term, but that happened to be a purse that was on the concrete.
Okay, so let's do.
And are you able to display for the jury using your pointer where that area is on State's Exhibit 305?
We're gonna make a shift to poison.
This is the Michael Kors? It's
I'm
right
sorry,
here.
just the stairway that you were
This is,
referencing.
again, the stairway here, and we can see when you go up one, they call it a stair tread. So as you go up the first stair to that stair tread, you can see the metal extending across the base of the railing. And we can see how this here, the actual gate swings from here on
The fuck?
side.
Oh, pig oil launcher.
Step, second step, third step.
Oh, I'm fucked.
What I refer to as the landing.
And so we can orient ourselves with the crime scene.
Oh, sure.
Are you, on the State's Exhibit, the demonstrative
I'm
there-
taking another hit too, by the way.
Here. So here we have the recliner, and this
We
is
can go for another.
where you
Doesn't
step
hit.
out and make your way down the stairs.
Make your way downtown. Walking fast, faces past.
Making your way that way.
Was she homebound?
Thank you. This is State's Exhibit 220, marked in your report as photograph number 4.
And so what we have here, these are referred to as placards, evidence placards. So we can see that we have number 6, 7, and 8. And what they indicate is some blood stains. This is the doorway, that front door as I refer to it, east side of the house. We have some blood stains here, some blood stains here. Likewise on the concrete stair tread, as well as that
Give me a poison item, please.
cross member. I'll use the term cross member. Here's the railing. Here are the hinges, so the gate is swinging back from, as I come down the stairs, it's going from left to right, opening.
Okay, so transform you're a merchant.
Lithic markets, just straight boulders. This is more fun.
That would be a good one. Actually,
Your coins are
we'll do that.
lost in my palm. But thank you.
Don't know how well it's gonna work. More.
Still all able to see the screen up there? Okay? Okay, I'm getting head nods, so.
And Mr. Martin, are you still able to see State's Exhibit 305?
Your Honor, I may have to stand at some point if you don't mind, and I can stand in the box, but,
If you need to stand up to see it, that's fine.
okay, thank you.
A waste of my time.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm down. My dog puked on band shoelace. Kim cleaned it like a man. So I had to actually.
Can you report as
I love you. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's photos in the
I love you
surface.
for that.
One is photo as I received it, and then the other.
Like, it's fine.
following
I'll
photo,
just-
I've actually,
It's fine. I'll clean it myself, I guess. That's a vibe for sure. Oops, I didn't mean to polish it.
I may, coming out the door right here, that's that landing. This would be the siding, the east side of the house, as one would go into the house.
That's so funny.
State's Exhibit 222, marked as number 6.
Why do they do it like that, you know?
You'd used Photoshop on the previous photo to indicate some blood stains. Is that what we're
Yes,
seeing
sir.
here?
Like can't they just figure out like how to do it right the first time?
What type of stains are these?
They appear to be.
Just wondering, you know?
Stains. Again, remember, as I talked about.
Asking for a friend.
The irregular shape of the stains, this happens to be concrete. Certainly, there's some small stains here.
Ooh, this might be a little spicy.
How big, but again, they appear to be some type of a drip stain on the surface.
Marked in your report as number 7, State's Exhibit 223.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What are we seeing here?
Again,
We're struggle busting right now.
First in the set of 2, the second one.
You know, perfect.
See the placard, evidence placard number 7.
Yeah, I don't blame you for wanting to smoke before you got clean dog puke.
Various stains.
Poor
here,
Sky.
Which again, I've circled in green. And
Poor you, too. Don't get me wrong. Poor you.
I'm showing you now what's
That is fucking blows.
Number 8, State's Exhibit 224. What types of stains are these?
And again, remember I talked about the irregular surface here. Actually, they're very close together. They almost appear to be, in size-wise,
Cheers.
they're small, but they appear to be drip. Well, they could almost be even a transfer, but more likely drip, because they all appear to be, irregular circular stains. But again, certainly close together. This one, a regular shaped stain. So I don't know if that's some type of
It'll work for.
contact or again, the impact that a.
Don't use a weapon.
With the surface texture, it's tough to delineate exactly what they are.
Again, just so we're clear, where this image was taken, is it your understanding that this is on that stairway that you had referenced?
Yep, yes, sir. So we had the landing, which is number 6. This is on that first step, is one word to step down.
I know.
If I were leaving the house, that would be that first step down.
I just don't understand it, you know? I don't really get it.
And again, this would be the following step, as one would be.
But it would be on the long list of things that I just don't
Now we're moving
seem to understand.
the first tread, and now
You
we're
know.
going to that second area. That's that cross member.
It's a relic at least.
I'll use cross member of that railing, where we can see some stains, and again, that surface texture, right, the concrete.
Means we gotta look for
regular shape
burn
stains.
stuff.
Not only that, but here we have a.
Like ideally, that's what we need. Burn stuff, so that's poison scales.
What we have here is what appears to be the outsole or the bottom of a shoe that's contaminated with blood as it contacts this surface here.
It's also when
We don't have the shoe, one of two things. Let me just.
instantly it's ruined. No, homie, you have done literally nothing to see if it worked, if it's fixable.
My two
What do you mean?
And a positive impression would be if I
Nope, it's ruined.
was sticking down.
So dramatic.
Contaminated.
Why are men so dramatic?
I'm actually leaving a positive impression, if that makes sense. So in other words, if I have blood on the tread and I press it down, that's a positive impression. What you can find is what we refer to in blood stain is negative impression. Good example, let's just jump to my finger. If I were to take some blood and put it
Let's jump to my finger.
and I were to carefully wipe it across here, the blood on the top of my ridges,
It's just he really is a boy.
and we see these elevated ridges, well, I could wipe that off.
It really tracks. He talks loud when he has his headphones on and gaming. He
Likewise,
drove,
what I've seen at crime scenes where
what, 10 hours
they leave a positive
for a fucking car?
they touch it sufficiently
Like, just one way.
surface of their ridges on, in this case here, the speaker. Well, as I move along,
I can't think of any others that are not going to end up being too mean. I'm going to be real.
what ends up happening is the blood, we call those the
Not my intention.
all right? So in other words,
I'm not trying to all the time be mean to him
furrows
or about him, you know?
If I press down, that could literally give me what's called a negative impression. But what we do have is, whether it's a negative or positive impression, we do have what appears to be a footwear impression here on that railing, or that cross member, excuse me.
And for the record, that was State's Exhibit 2, marked in Mr. Martin's report as
Why can't it just be simple?
showing you State's Exhibit 226.
No, it's okay. It's witchcraft, you know?
Again, I've gone through and.
It's just he's too scared to understand it. The power is behind it,
And again,
you know?
spatter being something, some type of to blood.
Right. You know what though? Like, look, not all heroes wear capes. Not all witches make, you know, like poison potions and shit. Some of them make cleaning potions.
And again, blood wants to hold on to something. And just a quick example, if I were to wash my hands, for the most part, the water's going to come off. If
Man.
I do something, that's going to create those small.
Sometimes I wonder
So when I start to get these small little stains,
what their purpose. I'm sorry, that's fucked up.
we're assuming here is all the red stains in this particular case here are blood.
We won't finish.
This type of small stain here, there was something that created that. And it could be something as simple as the shoe. Envision the shoe slapping down. It could have created or
Shoe slapping down.
come off and create that spatter. So again, size.
I don't know what's wrong with me today. Oh, you know what? I do know what's wrong with me.
And just to be clear, the
Meds.
shoe itself could have caused that spatter where it
Oh, it
contaminated
could have
with.
been on the top of the shoe. I call that the upper, just in case I.
Why I said he's just a boy. I'm just a girl. Isn't it any more obvious? You do really hard Avril Lavigne song. It's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
They placed the placard, the evidence placard number 8.
Instead of skater boy, it's racer boy.
7, no,
Because him in his cars. Or gamer boy. You can do gamer boy because he's he plays his games.
and again, what are we seeing here in State's Exhibit 228, your number 12?
Yes, we did in the previous photograph. It's just a different angle. As I mentioned before, I just thought it was important to put the two different.
This is such a bad run. His back.
Photo, we were able to capture that, or was able to illustrate that for the jury.
Judge, I think this may be a good time for our morning break.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been going about an hour and a half, so we will take our mid-morning break.
Excuse
now.
me.
Asked to be ready to go in approximately 15 minutes. And again,
Okay, 15-minute break.
Condition I gave you many times already, so.
this guy. He goes to stand up, and then he sits back. He's like, wow. Misread that. That was just a funny look he gave. Wait for him to finish talking first. So funny. No, it's like, why? He's like, son of a bitch. And it's even more awkward because he's on the stand. It's like everybody's looking over his way. The camera's pointing at him. He used to be a skater boy. That's so funny. I'm not. You know what? That tracks. That tracks. For what I know of Cam, that tracks.
So we have
Yeah, that tracks pretty well. I'm gonna be real, and that's okay. Cosmic Raw, yes. Okay, so what's this other one?
After a fight, something effective.
This is live, but it's not. I definitely paused it for that.
And is the parking lot area where you access it this time of night, is it well lit, is it AC? No. Especially when you first walk out, you can see there's like an overhang, and that is
Okay.
like shadow. So you testified that there was one that appeared unresponsive. When you say unresponsive,
I have no time for
Okay. First witness.
Good morning, please come to the front. The witness chair is to my left. If you could please raise
I wish you could see, like, look how crazy my screen is.
that testimony before you true. Okay, please have a seat. And once you're seated,
But it's pretty bad right now. Now that I think about it.
slowly and clearly into the microphone in response to questions.
You know, I'm trying to get that sponsorship money. Can I say? Dude, why is it so, the audio is so bad in this one? Why do I have two of these? God damn it.
Nothing tiny, nothing huge. Oh, the river is free. I like the exercise.
kind of go back a little bit into the spring or April of 2022. Were you employed anywhere or a student anywhere at that time? I was a student at the University of Iowa.
Okay. Physiology? I wish I could turn it up more. This is the best I can do. We're like picking up the audio from the echo in the room. It's so annoying, dude. How long is this? You know what? You know what? Fuck that.
On a Wednesday night,
We're gonna watch Into the Shadows. 'Cause I'm gonna watch this video on the case that you sent me earlier about this lady that like killed her fucking
in 2006,
hitman.
a hitman pulled the curtains closed in the bedroom of Susan Kuhnhausen, a seemingly ordinary 51-year-old nurse living in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon. He melted into the shadows, waiting with his murder weapon in hand, and soon
This is
enough,
just long enough for their break.
to be $50,000 richer. But Susan Kuhnhausen was no ordinary target. By morning, her would-be killer lay dead, bloody, bruised, and strangled. This supposedly defenseless nurse had taken down a dangerous criminal using only her bare hands. And the shocking twist
Dude,
of this tale,
this
one
is-
that would horrify everyone.
When you sent me like a little bit of info on this, I was like, this is nuts. So she like fought off her fucking her thing. That's crazy.
Involved, including Susan herself, was the revelation that the hitman had been hired by someone very close to her. The person who had vowed to love and protect her. It's always the husband. The woman who
Always.
eventually killed her own hitman began life as an ordinary girl. Her parents divorced when she was in the second grade, and throughout her childhood, the family moved across the desert southwest. Susan later admitted that her parents had never taught her what a healthy relationship looked like. Instead, her father, a carpenter, taught her how to defend herself. In one lesson, he
You know
explained
what?
that you must attack
Good.
someone with a hammer. Using the claw end will inflict more damage.
Dude, one of the few times that, you know, back in the day, dads were instead of like, this is like one of the only good examples where instead of teaching boys not to like assault and rape, that dad's like, okay, here's how you defend yourself if someone's gonna assault or rape you or kill you, and like it's like use the claw end because that's gonna be the most purposeful. And behold, it fucking saved her life.
As Susan grew up, she became a registered nurse and moved to Oregon in the early 1980s. Once she'd settled in the Portland area, she began to think about romance. Susan was a large woman, standing at 5'7" and weighing 260 pounds, who wanted a man who could appreciate her stature. In a personal ad for the local paper, she described herself as 33, overweight, but not over life. Seeks single man who wants
Well, that's a good way to put that, actually.
just slender. The man who responded to this was 39-year-old
think
Mike
that's a pretty
Carlson, who charmed her
good way
with
to-
philosophical phone calls and outings to the local garden. Before long, the couple was driving to Reno for a wedding ceremony in a casino. From the outside, they appeared to be a perfectly ordinary couple. Mike worked as a janitorial supervisor for Oregon Entertainment, a company that describes itself as, quote, an adult lifestyle company. Susan was an emergency nurse at Providence Portland Medical Center. Since the ER treatment
Wonder what that would mean.
criminals,
Or
Susan was required
insinuate.
to undergo training in de-escalation and self-defense techniques. Over the years, however, Susan began to notice a darker side to her husband. She later revealed that he suffered from anxiety and abandonment issues, accompanied by a pessimistic outlook on life.
Come on.
He no longer took her out on dates, and whenever she tried to kiss him,
I don't think we make it, yeah.
in her
Fuck,
face.
dude.
But Michael's behavior
What?
went beyond just being a disappointment. Husband. She later revealed that he suffered from anxiety and abandonment issues, accompanied by a pessimistic outlook on life. He no longer took her out on dates, and whenever she tried to kiss him, he would burp in her face. But Michael's behavior went beyond just being a
What the fuck?
husband. He demanded to know where she went and scrutinized their bank statements for any purchases he deemed unsatisfactory. Having witnessed the effects of domestic abuse at work, Susan worried that if she didn't leave soon, the situation might escalate into violence. Little did she know what was coming. After 17 years of marriage, Susan requested a temporary separation from Mike. She kept their house while he moved in with his father. After about a year, Susan seemingly realized
Happens.
that her life was much better without a suspicious buzzkill around, so she filed for divorce. However, as it turned out, that decision proved to be the most dangerous that she could have made. Studies on men who kill their partners are still relatively new, and much work
Family annihilators.
remains to be done. What is
They're
undeniable,
thing,
however,
they're
is that
scary.
leaving an abusive man is extremely dangerous. In fact, up to 75% of women who are murdered by an intimate partner died after leaving or attempting to leave. Mike Carnhausen did not exactly fit the typical image of a potential murderer, but there were warning signs. In an 11-question lethality test, the best current predictor of whether a man will kill his partner, Susan would have spotted several red flags. Did his pessimistic outlook on life count? Yes. Had he gone through a recent separation? Yes. Was he recently unemployed? Also yes, as Mike had lost his job at Oregon Entertainment during their year apart. But there were also practical reasons for killing Susan. Together they owned a house worth about $300,000, and if she died while they were still married, that money would be his. All Mike needed was a plan. Luckily, he happened to know someone experienced in murder, and as it turned out, that person had no problem getting back into the business. To say Edward Dalton Haffey had a checkered past, a bit of an understatement. He grew up in an upper middle class family, but quickly squandered any advantages he'd had by diving headfirst into drugs. Although he sampled liberally, his most used substance was cocaine, and his best-selling product was methamphetamine. In 1991,
Ooh, yikes. That's not a good combo. Real. This is why you don't date drugs. It's like, look, people wonder why they say, yeah, that's the crazy thing is like I know I've complained about my neighbor having an abusive like guy that she just can't get rid of, but like I'm not faulting her in any of this because I understand. There's crazy enough, I'm probably one of the more people that has been that's been educated in different aspects of abuse with lived experience and fucking like I don't have much lived experience of being in an abusive relationship, but I have like that's most of what I was trained for my most recent job, like my current job, is how to like acknowledge that, how to handle that kind of stuff, and like what resources you can provide to people in that kind of situation. Because yeah, it can turn deadly very fast, especially when you have like somebody that checks off a lot of boxes for a family annihilator, like this guy. And like you add on that he sells meth, like that just adds more of a questionable
Georgia Lee
morality.
Nelson. She apparently didn't care for a meth-cooking partner and wanted to break up. Worried that she might talk to the police, the other drug dealers convinced Haffey to lure his ex-girlfriend into a car so that
See, this is where it's
and strangle her. But the plan backfired when
this is what I'm saying is like he's already not a good person. Of course he's gonna like good people aren't gonna be friends with people that are this. So of course his friends wanted to help him.
discovered
We're willing to.
In 1994, Haffey pled guilty to conspiracy to commit aggravated murder and served 9 years in prison. Upon his release in 2003, he applied for a job at Adult Fantasy Video, a subsidiary of Oregon Entertainment. Mike Carnhausen hired him as a janitor to be responsible for mopping the floors. To Mike, the 59-year-old Vietnam veteran must have seemed like a hardened ex-con with ties to the criminal underworld. In addition to the murder charges, he had numerous convictions for drug possession, robbery, and possession of burglary tools. Mike offered him $50,000 to kill his wife, and Ed Haffey accepted. On September the 6th, 2006, Susan Kuhnhausen checked out of the emergency room as usual. Perhaps relishing her newfound freedom, Susan stopped at a local hair salon before heading home, finally pulling into the driveway at around 6:30. As usual, Susan entered through the back door. In the mudroom, she immediately noticed that something was off. A note from Mike microwave reading, Sue, haven't been sleeping, had to get away, went to lunch, love, me. After unlocking the back door and disarming her security system, Susan walked to the front door to check the mail. Once she had flicked through the envelopes, she kicked off her shoes and headed down the hall to her bedroom, planning to change out of her work scrubs. But something even strange greeted her now. The room was dark. Susan wondered if she had forgotten to open her curtains that morning, though that didn't seem like her usual habit. At that moment, a man stepped out from behind the bedroom door. He wasn't much taller than her, yet his presence was imposing. He wore Dockers and a blue striped shirt. His hair was pulled back in a ponytail.
Wait, he wore what?
Into a of her work scrubs. Something even strange greeted her now. It didn't seem like her usual habit. At that moment, a man stepped out from behind the bedroom door. He wasn't much taller than her, yet his presence was imposing. He wore Dockers and a blue striped shirt.
Darkers?
His hair was pulled back in a ponytail and tucked neatly into
Fucking
a
Brits.
baseball cap. With the brim pulled low over his eyes, the shadows on his face nearly resembled a mask. But what terrified Susan more than anything were his hands. He wore yellow rubber gloves, the kind used for dishwashing, and in one hand, he clutched a red and black hammer. When the first blow from the hammer crashed into the side of her head, Susan remembered self-defense lessons from work. Instead of fleeing, she moved closer, aware that the force of his swings was diminished near his body. A second
Yes.
blade collided with her left temple, and pain exploded across her skull, though Susan barely registered it as her
Oh my-
with adrenaline.
Yo, good on her. That's what the fuck?
Susan body slammed the hitman into the wall. As they struggled, he remarked, "You're strong." Those words, the only thing he said that night, convinced Susan that the man was there to kill her. He hadn't asked for money, jewelry, or drugs.
Well, of course.
A lover might want. Moreover, it was the way he said it, not with fear, but with excitement, as if her strength made the encounter more exhilarating. Susan wrestled the hammer out of the man's grip and swung it towards his head, deliberately using the claw ends just as her father had.
Yeah.
She struck him 3 or 4 times before he managed to regain control of the tool. Gripping his throat, Susan demanded, "Who sent you here?" in a fierce tone. The hitman remained silent. His
Who
face
sent you?
rapidly transitioned from red
Who
to
sent you?
purple and to blue. For a
Turns
moment,
into Batman. Jesus Christ.
She'd sworn to preserve life, not extinguish it. The thought of carrying his blood in her conscience made her pause. In that fleeting second, Susan released her hold and dashed for the door. She barely reached the hallway when the hitman caught her, abruptly spinning her around and landing a punch to her face. Susan tumbled to the ground. Her eyes flickered toward the phone, hoping to call for help, but she knew it was out of reach. Then she looked up and beheld a sight that would haunt her forever. The hitman stood over her, his hammer drawn back in his fist, ready to deliver a final
my God.
blow. In that moment, Susan realized that she could die right here on her hallway floor, and she refused to go down without a fight. Summoning a strength that only emerges in near-death situations, Susan managed to drag the hitman to the ground. With no weapons at her disposal, she turned herself into one by biting at every available opportunity. She hoped that sudden pain would force her to drop the hammer, and if death came for her that night, she trusted that the police could use bite mark analysis to identify her killer. As her hands scrambled through his pockets, she searched for anything, an ID, keys, or even a comb that she could discreetly hide under the furniture as proof that the man had been there. In her determination, Susan was unwilling to allow her murder to go unsolved. Susan hooked her leg over the attacker, pinning him to the floor. She crawled atop his back and wrapped an arm around his neck to choke him. "Tell me who sent you."
Oh my God.
I'll call you a ambulance, she yelled, briefly loosening her grip so that he could speak. As soon as he managed to gasp for air, the hitman growled and bucked, attempting to throw her off. Susan broke free, he would kill her. Without a moment's hesitation,
Yeah.
he tightened her hold on his neck, watching as his face shifted from red to purple and finally to blue. This time, she didn't let go until he was completely still. A little before
Yeah, you kind of have to.
a neighbor heard frantic knocking.
Especially because, like, she tried to not take the violent route and, like, do whatever she could do to not go the fatal route. And I mean, like, it backfired really badly. Like, she almost lost her life because of that. So, of course, you're not going to, like, make that mistake twice.
At her door. When she opened it, she found Susan Kuhnhausen covered in blood and clutching a claw hammer. With a calmness that belied the situation, Susan explained that they would need to call 911. Police arrived shortly afterward. Susan asked if the man was dead, and the officers confirmed that he was. Susan didn't savor her victory. Instead, she found herself wondering who the man had been. If someone out there, a parent, a spouse, or child, might mourn him. Despite these thoughts, she did not regret her choice. It was either him or her, and she chose herself. Initially, the police classified the incident
as she should.
had gone wrong. The following day, Susan was allowed to re-enter the house to retrieve some of her personal belongings. Nervous about returning to the scene of her attack, Susan invited a friend to accompany her. While the friend was in the basement retrieving a suitcase, she came across a black backpack that looked unfamiliar. That backpack would ultimately break the case wide open. It turned out that Ed Haffey had diabetes, and recognizing the importance of controlling his blood sugar during a murder for hire, he had brought along his diabetes pills and chocolate syrup. Since he was already carrying a bag, he decided to include an additional $200 in cash, his pay stub from Adult Fantasy Video, and his daily planner. The police quickly noticed an entry for September the 4th that read, "Call Mike," and familiar. Classified. Officers confirmed that he was.
Maybe I missed something.
Victory. Instead, she found herself wondering who the man had been. If someone out there, a parent, a spouse, or child, might mourn him. Despite these thoughts, she did not regret her choice. It was either him or her, and she chose herself. Initially, police classified the incident as a burglary gone wrong. The following day, Susan was allowed to re-enter the house to retrieve some of her personal belongings. Nervous about returning to the scene of her attack, Susan invited a friend to accompany her. While the friend was in the basement retrieving a suitcase, she came across a black backpack that looked unfamiliar. That backpack would ultimately break the case wide open. It turned out that he had diabetes, and recognizing the importance of controlling
he stashed a bag in the house. The killer did. Okay.
and a bottle of chocolate syrup. Since
No, that makes more sense.
Carrying a bag, he decided to include an additional $200 in cash, his pay stub, fantasy video, and his daily planner. The
Which
police
is
quickly noticed an entry for September the 4th that read,
such a stupid thing to bring with you. When you're breaking in.
found in the backpack. Officers later went to Mike's last known address, his father's house, where he had left a suicide note before fleeing. With the assistance of a police bulletin, they managed to track him down a few days later. Consequently, Mike Kuhnhausen was arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Now, at first, Mike tried to play innocent. However, not only had his hired hitman failed to kill his wife, but he also failed to remain silent about the incident. Sensing the job might be more than he could handle, Haffey had sought out a hitman's assistant. One prospective candidate even met with Mike in what was essentially a job interview. Although he turned down the offer, he was willing to testify to the police about the meeting. Additionally, mere hours before the crime, Haffey had boasted about the payoff to his cocaine dealer, an encounter that an autopsy later revealed occurred while Haffey was very high. Mike pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Despite some remarks suggesting that this sentence seems low, it's actually quite typical for the attempted murder of a romantic partner. According to a 2021 report from the United States Sentencing Commission, the median sentence for murder is 198 months, or about 16 and a half years in prison. Therefore, a 10-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder appears fairly average, actually. This, of course, offered little consolation for Susan, who was convinced that her husband would eventually try to finish the job. The fact that he was in prison only meant he had greater access to criminals willing to take him up on the offer of becoming hitman number 2. So Susan embarked on a new fight for her life to ensure that nothing like this ever happened again. Her first move was to drain Mike's bank account, making it impossible for him to afford another hitman. In 2008, a jury decided by an 11-to-1 vote that her husband owed her $1 million for the emotional distress caused by the attempt on her life.
I mean,
she would never collect the full sum.
Fair.
But that wasn't the point. Unable to feel safe in the home where she had been attacked, she moved to a new house and installed a state-of-the-art alarm system, this time with a code that wasn't her wedding anniversary. She also paid for the gravel installed all around the property so she could always hear approaching footsteps. Unsurprisingly, she continued with the divorce proceedings as well. When Mike became
good on her for being prepared.
Susan did everything in her power to ensure his parole was denied. Realizing the process was complex and confusing, she partnered with a victims' rights organization to develop an app that streamlined it. However, Susan soon discovered that she no longer needed to worry about her husband leaving prison. On June the 13th, 2014, Mike Kuhnhausen died of cancer while still incarcerated. In the years before her ex-husband's death, Susan had remained the confident, caring person she always was, albeit with much more media attention. She appeared on TV shows such as I Survived and Who the Bleep Did I Marry, as well as on local news.
Which we'll watch the I Survived thing. I think that's where I originally watched and heard about this.
Even after Happy's family reached out to assure her there were no lingering hard feelings, Susan had never wanted to take his life, and often wished that both she and her husband had made different choices, ones that had not led to that tragic, darkened bedroom in 2006. Susan didn't feel like a hero, even though people often called her one. It never felt right to be labeled a hero for taking a life. In her view, she and her co-workers perform far more heroic deeds every day in the ER, but the remarks continued. It wasn't until her boss explained his perspective that things began to make sense. He clarified that she wasn't called a hero for killing someone. Instead, Susan Kuhnhausen is seen as a hero because she is living proof that if a hitman ever comes for us, survival is possible. Just
True? Yeah, actually, yeah.
Thank you for watching.
That's actually a good like take from that. Let me go pee real quick. Oh, wait on let's skip it down with their break.
In December 2024, police were dispatched to a hotel in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
All right, go ahead and have a seat, everybody. Okay, we are back on the record after our mid-morning break. We have
Damn, I got good timing.
jury, counsel, and parties present. We have Mr. Martin on the stand. And, sir, I would remind you that even though we took a break, you're still under oath.
2 more days of spring left.
With that, Mr. Ringel, you may resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge.
I guess we'll see if we can.
Could we lower the lights just a little bit?
I need to go.
Thank you. Showing you what's been marked in
Get grass starter because they're all mad at me.
as number 13, it's State's Exhibit 229. What are we seeing there?
This is the stairway that comes down from the upper level. I believe it was referred to the sewing room of the home. I don't know if the jury can see it, but may I stand, Your Honor? May I?
You may.
Thank you. If we
Actually, let's-
here, or on the monitor here, if you look here, I've placed a green arrow in the photograph at the base of the stairs on the right hand of that riser. And in the next photograph,
Lonnie popped, laundry in, dog chilling on a pillow. Yes.
this is again to orient you.
Good. Perfect. Welcome back.
State's
Glad you're here. We're playing some Stardew and listening to this.
Is that the blood stain you were just referencing?
Yes, sir. So, again, the evidence placard was placed by the investigators here, and what we can see is, again, we have the scale here, placard number 1, stain. Notice we have a circular stain there. So what we have, circular stain, it appears to be a drip stain at the base of the stairs. The thing that we look at, okay, so I have a drip stain here. Well, if I have a drip stain, is it isolated?
Which Alani are you drinking?
At least from the investigative reports, and I can only work with the information.
Jojo Cola? Okay.
So essentially, could there be some latent stains there? In other words, and let me just say that, excuse me 1 minute. Let me just say this. There are 2 types of blood stains. There are patent stains, P-A-T-E-N-T. Those are readily visible. There could also be latent stains there. In other words, I could have had a little bit of blood, and let's just use the example of my footwear. It comes up to a point
No, I know.
where you don't see the blood anymore on the surface, and let's say the floor. But as I walk along, there's still trace amounts.
We're just trying to go through some of our Stardew
If I
shit.
take a particular chemical and I treat it, it will actually make that blood stain, which is otherwise invisible.
What do I need for a kitchen?
So what we could have here is we obviously have a latent, appears to be a drip stain. Could there have been additional stains? I didn't see any, nor report leading to, and I use the term the living room, or where Mr. Cooper was found, nor did investigators.
10K and 450 wood. Okay. Cotton candy. Okay.
Random stain with no association.
It's been a little bit since I've had that one.
Just say I have a.
I couldn't find it at the stores lately, so
Drip stain here.
maybe I'll get some more once I get paid later this month.
That's called a drip trail. It tells us where many times it's coming from and where it's going to. But again, this happens to be an isolated stain. It wasn't tested for blood, but at least in my opinion, it appears to be blood. And certainly, it appears to be Mr. Cooper's. Could have been from a separate incident. I've certainly had cases where there are blood stains pre-existing in the house that came not only from residents there, but from a previous resident of that apartment. So again, here we have this isolated blood stain, which really doesn't have any connection through a drip trail or any other format.
And Judge, with the court's permission, it looks like 305 has been taken down. I'm going to republish that.
Let's do one more fence post. Here. I don't blame you though. I don't blame. Like, that's why I am at this point. When I get paid again, I'm gonna see if I can just get a whole fucking case of cotton candy. But I do need to keep my eye out once I get paid for the. There's someone on Facebook Marketplace near me that sells like the cases.
I may have to stand, sir.
All right.
I got 24 just in 2 trips.
Moving on
So
to
I still have quite a few. I'm nervous I'm not going to order.
Marked in your report is number 15. What are we seeing here?
So this is a photograph.
You know what, though? That's how it goes through phases, you know?
Essentially, as the first officer is.
Yeah, $45 for a whole case.
Body camera is working.
Speaking of which, let me look to see if that's a thing. Do you have any on Marketplace now?
And what we have here is, we have Karina Cooper here. You can see her.
Oh, there's a mini vinyl for the giver.
In fact, this happens to be her left leg here, and we can, may I stand, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you.
That's cool.
We can see that she's on the Mr. Cooper here. And again, one of the things that we look at, even though it's a photograph that appears to be out of focus, or again, it's a body camera, it's moving. So again, what happens is we have some motion in the camera itself.
Oh, yep. $40.
Look for, do I see any blood flow running down his legs, any blood flow?
Pink slush, cherry slush, cherry twist.
The recliner appears to be in the back position in that reclined. I don't know how far.
Yes, the giver mini vinyl. I just found that on it.
You can also see here the quilt, because again.
Oh, he's had those on for a while.
So we can see that there's.
Let's see here. How much did he want for that vinyl? $25.
And you stated that was a still from a body cam. It's noted there as body cam Fangman, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes, I have it marked as Fang.
Also, they have a little K truck.
And for
Uber K truck for
Pull your
AK.
microphone down again.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yes, I have it marked as, it's a photo 15 body.
So
cam
cute.
Fangman.
Just for the record,
Okay.
Fangman's body cam was previously admitted as State's Exhibit number 102. What are you seeing of relevance to your analysis? I know you already noted that you're looking at the position of the items in the room. You're also
Okay, tomorrow I gotta go buy the fucking
on the extremities of Mr. Cooper.
traveling merchant.
Anything of note with regard to the fact that Karina Cooper is on top of the decedent.
So one of the things that we have to consider, and it always comes
Okay,
up,
so
has the scene been altered?
quality
It can be intentional or it
animal
can be
products.
unintentional. So we know that Mr. Cooper, certainly 911.
Okay, so I just
call
need
was incurred
apples.
injury. We can see that Karina Cooper is on top.
All
of it.
this shit.
Right away when
Okay.
we're doing an assessment, or at least I'm looking at the photographs, because ultimately she's removed from Mr.
How much wood do
Cooper.
I-
We have to take into consideration that there's possible movement of Mr. Cooper.
Go grab some more grass starters and then chop down some wood.
What has she touched that could
So I
have
can make a
altered?
kitchen.
For example, I could have some, or Mr. Cooper could have some blood on his face, could be moving that blood around, which could be changing the appearance of the stain. So in my analysis, if I had a flow pattern, so flow, as we talked about before, gravity's causing it to run down, well, I could see this movement. Now I know from the body camera, and that's why it's so important that you have to look at all of the evidence, whether it be video or photographic, to
Right.
be able to account
Okay.
for what patterns we see at the scene.
And so would you characterize Ms. Cooper's actions sitting on top of the decedent here as?
Yeah, redo my garden.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit number 232, again marked as a body cam Fangman, marked in your report as number 16. What do we see here?
Again, you want to mail stand, please?
You may.
Thank you. So what we do, again, we have Karina Cooper here on Mr. Cooper's lap. We can see her left arm is up by his face. And now, if we look at the entirety of the scene, again, top of the recliner, we can see that.
Right, he was killed in a recliner.
There. So in the subsequent photos or in the later photos, I want to see if the position of the quilt is as it's depicted here. Certainly movement by her, a movement in reverse.
Because yeah, when the EMTs arrived in this case, she was like laying on her husband, sobbing.
So I have a better view of the room. I'm going to look at the whole room or the entire room. Here we can see this is the doorway to the outside. This is that front door I previously talked about, this being the east side of the dwelling. You can see that the door is closed. So again, was the door open and closed at the time first officers responded? At least here, the door is fully closed. Likewise, as we look in the area of this arm, the left arm of the recliner, I know from looking at the photos, because I looked at the photos prior to looking at the video,
I don't want the poles attaching.
determine was there any blood staining on the arm of the chair? What is the extent of blood staining to Karina Cooper, if any? So, again, even though this happens to be a out of focus, again,
God damn it.
movement, if you were standing still, would have a clearer picture. But again, I can see the quilt here, I can see her position. I know that obviously she's placed her at least left hand on the right side of his face.
Mr. Ringel, let me, go ahead and have a seat, but let me just ask, do we need this up? I mean, it does make it so he has to stand more. Is there something else we can do with that?
Judge, we could put it behind the defense table. The purpose of it is to just allow him to show, as we move forward, the different areas.
I'm
where the
close.
photographs
Okay.
were taken.
Sure, I understand. It would just, I think, make it more convenient for him, and when he stands up, the microphone doesn't catch, and anyway, so if we could move that, I think, and then also, he would have a view of the screen, too.
Your Honor, well, how about it, could we put it here where she stepped down? This might be no.
I'll let the
Okay, so what do I need to make grass starters? Just fiber. Okay.
figure out maybe where it can go.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to make a kitchen tomorrow.
That'll also allow Miss Watt to get back to her original location.
Yeah, take out the fucking thing.
Can you still see State's Exhibit 305?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ringel, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. You stated that you had looked at,
It's just a bunch of
Deputy Fangman's
dirt
body
and it
camera.
drives me nuts.
You said you're using software that allows you to look at approximately 30 frames per second, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
They just
Were you able to determine in looking
cut
at
off all my grass and sold, dumped the fiber.
on top of Ryan Cooper?
Those big dumb.
Well, and you'd have to look at the video, but you can see that she's placing her hand across Mr. Cooper and hugging him, as well as in the actual video, you can hear her crying and commenting as well.
Were you able to determine if her face was making contact with?
Yes, sir, in the video, yes. In other words, her face was making contact with Mr. Cooper's face, almost a rubbing motion to the face, yes.
And were you able to tell if that
let's
was
see.
the left side or the right side of Mr. Cooper's face where she was making contact?
God, there's so many trees over
Well,
here.
at least in the portion of the video, it appeared to be the right side of the face, in one portion of the video that I specifically recall, yes, sir.
And here it looks as though she's making contact with the left side of his face, is that correct?
No, that would be the right side, sir, right? His head is to her,
They're opposite. They're facing each other.
so his head looks like her head is, this is his head back here on that side of her.
All right, so he's facing forward in the chair.
Right, so that would be the right side of his face. Her face is up against this left side here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hello? Can you do you for whatever reason? There we go.
Touch anything.
All right, moving on to what's been marked as State's Exhibit 233, marked in your report as
I might switch to my other file.
This is a photo which I was provided by
I'm trying to figure out how to
from DCI. This was
pull this file back.
report, I believe it came from one of the body cameras. I'm not sure, but
They really fucked up my
prior to
year
first
one.
responders arriving on the scene, and what we
But
see
that's how
here
you
is,
learn.
Karina Cooper has been removed, and again, what we're looking at here is this is probably one of the earliest photos that we see. And again, we have Mr. Cooper
was?
here in the
Yeah,
chair.
we can't wait
Remember I
until
talked about
Bobo's
flow
around.
patterns, trying to determine as to whether he may have been standing at the time, kneeling at the time. Well, first of all, as we look, we see a saturation stain, and I did mention that briefly. Saturation stain is when I have blood that's on something that's porous, such as fabric or clothing. So we can see it's making its way down because of gravity, so it's making its way down, but I don't have any flow pattern going across his stomach. Again, these blankets could have been placed after, post-event, or they could have been there prior to, which again, I don't see any blood on them. Likewise, the other thing that we want to take a look at is his left arm. And one of what we're looking for there is, do we see any evidence, the flow pattern in the shirt? Notice, it comes down his sleeve, but there's still a couple of inches. Likewise, we have some blood out here, and I'll talk about that in other slides. But one of the reasons for this blood out here could have been his arm.
Well, stuff I need to go deliver.
So instead of his arm being flexed at the elbow, right here, as we see it, into his waist, if the position were out here, blood could have flowed down, because we know the wound is on that left side, could have flowed down his hand, and his fingers could have been here, which account for this, and we'll talk about that later. But from everything that we see, or I see, there's no evidence at all that he was anything other than this position. Likewise, again, what's around him, we can see that quilt. Here's the quilt behind him. We can see on the quilt that shiny area here on the, right side of his face is blood, clotted blood. We can also see over here there's some blood that's amassed here.
I like the D4's
So again,
look too.
what we have,
That's right, I'll switch my other file to this game.
against it, there's
This
no
day.
evidence at all of him in a position other than that reclining position. And again, generally, here's another photo to show that the door was closed at the time. We can see this large pattern here, because again, ultimately, when first responders or investigators come to the scene, certainly the dynamics could have changed. You could have some flow going on that could have increased that pattern. So this gives me an idea, at least when this photo was taken, this was what the scene looked like. And again, we had Karina, but here we do know that she was involved in some of the altering of the scene, whether, like I say, we don't know intentional or unintentional, but certainly that gives us an indication that, again, we have to consider that when we look at the case in summary.
So, little small one down or just. Can you get these closed down so I can get my hey, yes. There you go. That's the priority right now.
Removed, yes, sir.
But I mean, like that just comes down to motivation to fold the clothes, which
No, sir.
I don't know about you, but for me, that's big ask.
I guess we'll say about the middle right.
I'll put it off for days if I am allowed to.
Hot air system, so we have a floor vent in the floor itself. In fact, one other of note, which is important in this case, this floor is actually particle board. At least that's the term I know it as. So unlike if this were a hardwood floor, granted you have a space between the floors, but the floor has been finished, so it's pretty much non-porous. Or if this were inlaid or some type of non-porous surface, the fact that we have this particle board that is somewhat porous, we have to take that into consideration when we're...
This is my last day of spring.
There's some blood pools in this image.
Oh, fairies came by.
There's some later images that are better to describe what's going on.
Okay.
With blood pools.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 234 marked in your report as 18.
Oh, they're growing my flowers more. Okay.
The photograph obviously was taken sometime later. The sun has come up. Mr. Cooper has been removed from the recliner. They've placed a sheet on the floor, and they've simply moved him from here to here. Again, the purpose of the photograph here is to give an overall...
Guess we can finish the last day of spring.
So we can see here's the door, and again, the door is still shut. But again, we have the recliner here, and ultimately Mr. Cooper here, but...
Lucky lunch, okay.
Look at the arm, we don't see any blood, because we didn't see the inside of the arm. So in this photograph here, we didn't see any on the outside, nor do we see any on the inside.
All right.
Likewise, across
Now,
the abdominal area, we don't see any blood.
how much do we get? 35. Okay, so green beans will just sell.
Area of either leg or even the feet. So with each photograph, we're looking to say, okay, in the last...
Or Cam won't get onto me about it or do it, so I have to create the motivation. This is... Bitch, this is me getting on you about it.
The fact that he was in the recliner...
So that we can play Stardew at some point. God damn it.
2 shots.
I say that, you know, lovingly.
State's Exhibit 235.
In this photograph here, what we're looking at is Mr. Cooper is back...
6:30 a.m.
That we noticed, or we noted Mr. Cooper on. This is heading out...
Any eggs so I can make mayo?
Sewing room. So on the diagram, here's Mr. Cooper here. This is that area of the carpet, and this is that doorway that goes into that sewing room where that drop of blood was located. So here we are up in this area. That's heading through that doorway. I've got 2 different symbols here. I put the green ellipse. These are blood stains. They appear to be, notice the ellipses? Excuse me. Notice there's a tail going this way, so it's telling me that the blood actually hits, and it's actually going in this direction. When someone's going or something's going this way, that's bloody. Not only that, but here we have 2 footprints, not footwear, but 2 footprints. We can see the right...
I know.
And we can see
I get what you're saying. I wanted to make the joke of like, but that's all.
Additional bloody footprints which were on this carpet here. So what that...
Because honestly, here at like an hour or 2, I'll probably go live on Twitch.
Someone with bare feet stepped in the blood, went across the carpet, because again, relying on the reports, went across the carpet, and ultimately here to here. I didn't have any additional photos going into here, but as I mentioned before, the amount of blood diminishes. There could be additional going this way.
Okay, so I need to eat strange bun next.
Footprints, one being right here, and excuse me, this is a right here, and this happens to be I'm sorry, right here. What did I say? Right, left. This appears to be a right as well, going towards the sewing room.
It's like, yeah, after stream tonight, I need to fucking I need to fold laundry too.
State's Exhibit 236, your number 20.
Sure.
I missed because I was drinking something.
Mr. Cooper's right foot and his lower leg. What we see there on him, this appears to be a transfer stain, and that something bloody came in contact with Mr. Cooper.
Okay, whatever.
We see a transfer stain here on the bottom, but again, we don't see any drips up top, nor do we see any flow. But in reviewing the reports, there was a statement.
Okay, Robin. Upgrade house.
Mr. Cooper's foot as she climbed on top of him. So she, certainly the possible.
One, I need more room, and two, I want to be able to start cooking stuff. Now that I'm in year 2 on this.
On top of Mr. Cooper, that could have been the.
Although I probably should. Okay, well, let's go to the traveling merchant, see what's there. I probably should have gone to that first. And if it screws us for it, then I will.
To be Mr. Cooper's left foot as he's on the floor. And again, the purpose is to note that there.
I need to also plant some fucking trees.
On the top of his feet, and again, nothing flowing down his leg.
Okay, are these good enough parsnips?
If we're saying that there's no evidence.
No, they aren't.
To keep looking over, and what we're doing is we're trying to falsify, or we're trying to prove that there is no other evidence other than him being in that reclined position as we see him.
This is State's Exhibit 238, your 22.
So here we have Mr. Cooper. We can see that this is the white sheet that he was placed on, and obviously they place a clean sheet down prior to putting Mr. Cooper on there, and we can see bloodstains here. This the term that we use is that he's still purging. So in other words, he has blood. Obviously, there's a circulatory system.
I wonder.
Which is the mass. Remember, I talked about before. He has damage.
I wonder if this her reaction, because it's not very strong right now, right? Wait, I need sand skip, don't. But like, I wonder how genuine. Oh, I don't. Okay, we're good. Right. I wonder how genuine a lot of this reaction is she's having. Because she's like seeing the scene now.
Tells us that there's been some time that has elapsed for this clot to have amassed. Likewise, I've put a green arrow towards the right here. We can see a clot here, and there's some.
You know what? It doesn't matter.
His right shoulder, but we can see additional.
I'll use it to give to somebody.
Front of his shirt.
Those fluid, my nails will probably pop off tomorrow because the pressure that gets put on them digging in the clothes. Just waiting to lose one. Oh yeah. Well, you know what? That could go on the list of things you can do if you end up getting your Dreamlight dailies done.
On the chair is, if you notice, we have a flow pattern.
I don't know how long that process takes you. But it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, I would imagine it's probably better to do it on your day off.
In the previous photograph, there was no flow pattern that existed here. Notice the flow pattern.
Sag, I only got 76.
So this
okay, so
sitting in the chair, but this was not in the previous photo, and that's, we know that he's.
Wait, do I have enough parsnips? Do I have enough quality parsnips now?
Off of the recliner, and his head moves off to the side, and that's what caused.
Wait.
So again, that's post-event, or you might hear me use the term artifact. That was created after he was taken out of the chair.
I do. Let's go. The spring was salvageable completely. Let's go.
Down, we can see I've put the green arrow, clots here, giving us some indication of time. Likewise, we can see the green arrow here, or you can see it here, the green arrow. Same.
Also, I need to dig a sturgeon out of our fucking pond.
Along the shoulder area.
When we get the server up so that way I can finish that
Think about it. If he's in
lake fishing.
and we have some bleeding going on, then obviously the blood is going.
I just wanted to try to increase the size of it, but
his pressure of him up against.
it's like, look at that fish tank.
For lack of a better term, a dam.
So cute.
Ultimately, that blood pools up there and may even run across the back of his neck and pool up here, and that's what creates that.
Hell yeah, I just need to get melons now.
This is that flow pattern I talked about out. Before
which I should be able to get pretty easily.
Notice the blood.
And then it's just animal products.
Him sitting in the recliner.
For that,
The fractures here.
that's money I gotta do.
And then the other thing.
And then it's just finding a bunch of stuff. I gotta get ducks soon.
Karina Cooper, and we could see in the video that her face comes in contact with him. And at one
Which I
point,
think-
I don't recall, but I think hand does as well. But that could account for some of that. Remember I talked about that swipe pattern? So in other words, or even white pattern, because now it's.
Yeah, we have to get big coop for that. Okay.
That side could, so it could be a swipe or it could be a wipe. Sometimes you hear the term smear when you really can't tell what it is, but certainly there's lateral, some motion going on there, and that's what could account for that, or what would account for that.
All right. Extra jade running around. I think I do. Jade for Emily, and then Jody needs a Joja Cola. I don't think I have any Joja Cola left.
Arrows on the recliner. The recliner's been placed now, Mr.
Oh yeah, this is okay. So this is showing where he got shot.
Start here. He's seated. Yeah, can we turn it? There we go. Oh, much better. Thank you. So he's seated in the recliner here. One of the first things we want to take a look at, and I failed to use this term, there's a term called void. So essentially, if
Honestly, just gonna sell my parsnips now.
here, let's just say I place my cup of water here, and I create some spatter around it. Well, you would agree with me that if I pick it up, there's an absence of blood there, right? So the fact that I have an absence of blood tells me that something was there to prevent any type of blood from
Get
getting.
these gold ingots going.
If the person
I'm like very behind on this
evidence of
file.
misunderstanding, but if he's bleeding, and
I mean, it makes sense that I am now.
immediately begin to bleed, well,
Oh, I need coal.
any evidence of blood on the chair.
Need to keep coal with me.
In this area where his shoulders were, and we can see the corresponding clot to the left shoulder, and we can see the corresponding clot to the right shoulder. Notice here on this yellow square, we have some saturation. So some of that serum and some of the blood does soak into the material.
And then I need to take
Down here, granted the wound is on his
eggs.
so some of that blood does saturate down into the material, and it works its way down here. And notice, remember, wound is on that left side. His head is somewhat tilted this way. Notice the saturation stain.
Okay, so let's sell this stuff here.
It makes its way all the way here. Likewise, saturation stain along this, I'll call it faux leather or whatever, suede, I guess might be the term. You can see that there's some blood here as well. Actually, there's some clotting there, which makes sense. So essentially, we have this void, an absence of blood, an absence
And I'll have to get more grass starters.
Let's take a look at everything, this holistic approach. We have Mr. Cooper up against the recliner back as he's bleeding. The blood essentially is collecting here on his shoulder.
Wait, okay, so let's see how our cow feels. Okay, our cow likes us.
The quilt,
The chimkins.
where he's got his head off to the left, we've got him bleeding into this area where the cushion, arm cushion, comes in contact with this back here. So the fact that we don't have any blood in this means by which we can confirm or say, hey, was this, he's
Okay, and then there, my house will, how many days does it take for the kitchen?
States 241, you're 25.
3 days, okay.
Again, I put my green arrow in here. This is the
I gotta go into the shed.
excuse me, that would be his right
I
side.
fucked up by putting the shed right here and not doing the barn and coop.
On the floor with his t-shirt. He had that large clot on his right shoulder. Now this clot on his right shoulder matches up with this clot here on the comforter.
What do I need for mayo machines? Earth crystals. See if I have any extra ones.
He's in this position, that blood is welling up between his shirt, and that's what's causing that clot.
Of course, my chickens are not
Pulled away.
liking me, but that's fine. I get it.
That leaves that remaining
I don't
clot
blame
on
them.
the quilt. Likewise, he's got the
Kind of on the same
corresponding
vibe as them right now, you know?
And here we have
Okay.
excuse me, this would be looking at the chair, this would be looking at it, the right side. We can see the clot here. In fact, we can see some of the clot falling down. This is most likely when Mr. Cooper, remember the predominance of the blood is flowing this way, it still hadn't totally clotted and dried. So when he's pulled from the chair,
Oh, those are yams.
the clot begins to flow down the quilt. And if we look here in this area here, we can see how the blood, we have a saturation.
Okay, so let's go grab our copper ores. What else do we need?
Side arm.
Stone and wood, okay.
You know, notice this dull area right here, dull area right here. Well, that happens to be dried blood on the arm of the chair as well. So that's a coating of dried blood. But what's important here, we have more clotting going down here.
Where did my
it tells us
ingots
the
go?
volume of blood, which is either dripping down or seeping down in this area here of the chair.
For the record, that was States Exhibit 242.
Okay. Then
27 States Exhibit.
we'll lay down our other mayo maker.
So this happens to be a,
Because the shed's going to make all of our, like,
again, looking
animal
at the
products, I guess.
front, this happens to be the right side of the recliner. So again, looking at it the right side, if you were sitting in it, it would be the left side. Mr. Cooper, again, is sitting in the recliner this way, up here. We
Oh,
have, as I mentioned before,
there we go.
blood staining here. So we have some transfer stains, something wet with blood encircled here. We have a little bit of a saturation stain. Not only that, but you can just about see the flow.
Okay, let's clear up some of our crops
down
and
the side of the chair.
process.
We have some flow pattern going down the side of the chair. We can see some blood in here. In other words,
Okay.
blood is running down, just so happens.
Frozen geodes.
In between this
Start
upper portion
destroying.
and the side arm of the chair, it's actually running down the side.
That's all the
Not
bait
only
we
running
don't
down the
need.
side and amassing here, but it's also running down the interior of the chair. And notice the pool that's amassing back here. This pool is because he's been sitting here for some time, and I can't tell you how long. Think about it.
We'll keep the pumpkins.
That directly affect the.
We'll sell the corn.
It's the rate of flow, right? If I turn on my faucet and I just have it dripping along, that's certainly going to take quite a while for that to amass that amount of blood. Likewise, if I open my faucet up, I'm certainly going to have a lot less.
Let's see.
Again, and not only that, but after someone has.
I just want to clean up all this extra stuff and make some room.
Is going down, so the
Oh, do I need to turn in cheese for
as it is as time
artisan?
goes by. So again, to give you a time as to how long that would amass, there's a lot of things that go into that. But what we do
I feel like I've already done the stuff that
with a
I
sufficient
needed
amount of blood,
cheese
not
for.
running down the side of the recliner, but to run in the recliner
Right?
to create this, and this is separate than this area here. So here we have a pool amassing from blood.
Okay, let's go sell our crops.
Based on what you're seeing here, is there anything to support the notion that the recliner was moved after the shooting?
No, because we have this flow pattern here, so it's going down, and that's why this is flowing from underneath the recliner.
Go frozen geo.
This is that drip pattern that I talked about. See all the little satellites that we see here that radiate around that pool? Given this photograph, not only that, but when
Yeah, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to spend this in game day just organizing shit.
that parent pool here, as they come straight out, they're going to skid along here. If you notice, there's no blood really in this section here, because as they hit the corner of this chair, and at the base of this chair, not only do we have the flow pattern here, and I'm getting ahead of myself, we have all those little satellites. As that blood hits that parent stain, that satellite comes up and it's hitting the base of that chair at that low level.
Again,
Chop up down this tree.
illustrated in a later photograph, just let me know, I don't want to get too far ahead, but are you saying that the blood pool that we're seeing immediately next to the recliner is separate and distinct from the parent and
Your
satellite
gates.
stains that are towards the bottom of the photograph?
Yes, sir.
And that's something that will be discussed later.
Coming forward, yes, sir.
States Exhibit 244, your 28.
Yes, sir. So what we have here is, again, another photograph taken of the chair. Here we have the recliner. And again, the photo allows us to see that there's no blood here. We again see the void here. But now looking in this area, we talked about that saturation is blood in the chair. But also,
Shut down this tree.
Pattern. Notice all of the satellite. We saw in that video that I had when that single drop.
Oh, yeah, get my watering can out so I can feed the
that there were several stains.
kitty.
But again, the size of this tells me that that pool had some time
I think I'm just gonna have to do. I'm gonna do my garden on this backside.
over the pool that's dripping.
I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna leave a pathway.
These satellite spatter. Notice how they're radiating out, radiating out. They actually hit this here. They hit the base of this bureau. If anything was moved, if we look at the thread on this bureau, notice if we look at the frequency or the number of blood stains.
Okay, so non-tapped trees for now, and then I'll go make a tree tap later.
Here, it goes back this way, but notice there's almost a lack of staining. In fact, right at the base of that foot.
I just gotta clear out, I guess, this while I have the energy. Might as well.
Was moved that at some point after this, that this was moved just slightly. And what we see here are some marks in the floor. Something's moved across this. Remember I talked about swipes and wipes, but here we have some type of movement, lateral movement across here, and it's going this way, so it probably bumped this and just slightly moved this maybe a half an inch at some particular point in time. I have a green arrow here in the foreground of the lower portion of the photo. Again, we see that bare footprint impression. So we have a bottom of a bare foot, which is contaminated with blood, which is heading from the chair. And if you recall, I noted that.
Right.
I mentioned
Okay, weird.
there were footprint impressions on the rug, and then we saw those other two impressions that were leading towards that sewing room, towards the stairs.
That would imply that she did.
There's been some blood deposition. It's amassed that pool, and we've had something come through and wipe it. And in reviewing the reports, supposedly the victim's son, Cade, I believe his name is, C-A-Y-D, came into the room and slipped and fell.
Huh?
This would account for this movement of the blood here if someone were to slip and fall.
But like, why? Why didn't you say something
The other things that we look at,
to this like kid?
we refer to as featherings. We see movement of directionality, moves this way and just slightly bumps this to give us that little, it almost appears to be, it does appear to be a small, or it is a small void right there as that cabinet is moved. This happens number 4, the placard. What is placard number 4? That's a sample of blood that the investigators took, because again, you want to take samples at various locations.
Okay, I need to go lay down. I think
What
it.
is. And
Hey,
then
Red
last,
Cat's chapter.
placard in the back there, number 5, that's where the expended cartridge case, the 22.
Because I shut the garage. It was storming last night. Give me a second.
Previously referred to as the shell casing, that's what you're talking about, correct?
Shell case and cartridge case, yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 245, marked in your report as number 29.
So here we have, and let's use that green arrow for reference. That's that footprint, and we can see it's a.
Poor thing. I accidentally. Man, we made. What did we make money off of?
Move around, so we've got the left.
Oh, the cauliflower. We had a fuck ton of cauliflower.
Actual pool here.
The corn, pumpkins. Okay.
Is if this foot were.
Dang, pumpkins are worth a lot. Okay, so we're doing a big amount of pumpkins.
Call it a negative impression where they picked up the blood. We don't see that. So
Goddamn, Ed Melons. Okay.
What we have here is someone had stepped
Cauliflower spring, pumpkins fall, melons summer,
has been masked over by the
and powdered melons for winter.
into this pool here. So any indication, because certainly there's not enough blood here in this satellite spatter to have created.
All right,
the
since your
large
clothes are folded, do you want to smoke?
Someone would have had to step here and to go over in this direction. Also, what we have here is, notice all of these spatter heading out. If you look,
I'm
you can
gonna
see the
clean out my
stains. Remember we talked
jar.
about that before. Tails are going this way.
Bunch of
So
shake at the
as that
bottom.
blood is dripping down. We have that drip pattern, drip, drip, drip. So what's happening is that's very low. It's on the floor, correct? So when those spatters are coming out, some of them are coming directly out. So they're, to use the term which might make it easier, they're almost skidding along the floor. So we have those elongated stains. While some of them, as the blood is dripping in, that blood is.
Give me a second to
over, and you get those circular
get this all cleared up.
spot. everything is coming back to here, here, here. And the other thing that we want to look at is, okay, if this is originating here, then we should have something here, which we do. We should have something here, and you can see it in this photograph right there. Some of that spatter is making it all the way out to here. And likewise, when we look at some additional photos, we'll see spatter on the front of this jug or whatever the clay, whatever this is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But again,
So, you know,
what to do is to show that if I have
people want to smoke.
this drip pattern, then I should look for and find that radiating spatter coming from that stain. And what it tells me
Nice bowl.
is something, and I'm tipping and it makes
Sure,
it
good.
here, but obviously the blood source is above it. It's above that area and it's dripping into it. So if I'm sitting in the recliner and I
Just need to, okay.
there's it's not possible
I have
for
a
me to
stamp.
create that drip pattern. The only way that drip pattern could have been created is the source has to be out over that floor to drip down into that pre-existing stain.
So if I understand your testimony correctly, then, based on your review of the blood patterns that you're seeing,
Oh,
the body
okay.
was in at least two separate positions.
Bobo sent me one I can send to you.
And the position of the
That's
body
like a little tray and stuff.
recliner, you talked about the clots of blood on the shoulder.
Sent it to me that night we were talking about it the other night. And I didn't know if he had sent it to you or not.
Mr. Cooper's body.
Turns out
in the recliner.
I can just send it to you.
And then you're talking about this parent stain and the satellite stains that are much further out, indicating that the source of blood must
At
come
least then
from
you can
above,
It
correct?
has to be obviously
you can look to see because it looked like it was relatively decent price.
flow and just a mass as we saw in that previous photo of that stain amassing in the back of the chair.
I got my bowl loaded. I still got one more bowl shake left. I don't know if I needed to tilt or not. I actually found some that have, ooh, yes. See the one that Bobo sent me. Let me see here. The one that Bobo sent me had a cup holder, I believe.
So this isn't coming from Mr. Cooper,
As he's found, no, sir.
not as he's found, in other words, reclining in the recliner.
In the first officer photographs that we've previously looked at, he was not in that position, no, sir.
And as you indicated previously, there's no flow pattern down his left arm. Why is that relevant to this image?
It's $15.
Sure, it's certainly possible, and again, we have to entertain all possibilities, where if he were, and let's just say unintentionally, Karina Cooper, who we know was on him, picked his arm up.
But that is like a good point on if you don't know if you need it tilted or not. It has a little slot for
Is on his side. So is that
like a tablet.
up against
Got a little tray for your things. It's got a cup holder.
down my arm, so it could
I
be
don't think it has any USB chargers, but I do that having USB charger
dripping off.
on the thing that you could plug in and charge it. So nice.
See his arm clean, and it's actually within the arm of the chair. So again, that's not, and again, look at all the possibilities. His arm wasn't extended out. The most likely position is that
Because then
is most
you can charge your
likely
phone,
is
watch stream while you play on your laptop.
chair to allow for that dripping to collect and create those satellite spatter.
Yeah, most haven't. Well, yeah, because most times people
Flow pattern down the
use them for like doing something in bed, like eating and watching something.
And if I understand your testimony,
And typically, most people use like the tablet or something.
instead, the source of the blood above
Yes, I don't blame you. Which, okay, all right, let's look here.
the left side of his face.
Yes, sir.
State's exhibit number.
Hold on, let me do this real quick.
Door number 30.
So, again, as I mentioned before, when we look at and we do our bloodstain analysis, we need to look at the entire scene, right? And if something doesn't make sense, we have to go back. Here we're talking about a drip pattern, so we have blood dripping into blood. We do know that the satellites are going to radiate out, and if you notice here,
Okay, so it's this one got.
previously talked about.
This one
notice
tilts.
This is the portion that's closest to.
Well, it's 88 pounds. Okay.
The most of the predominant number of stains are going to be here, and we can also see that.
Oh, it has adjustable
So again, everything.
laptop stopper. Interesting.
The fact that that's a drip pattern, not only
Let's see here.
jugs, so these two containers were there at the time of.
But I get you, because like it's about what it costs. Like $30 is about the range for like a good one with kind of some of the bells and whistles you want to do.
Circle this with a Sharpie marker.
What is this one? That's a little, probably too much. Oh, here you go.
Just to show.
Here you go. You mount it. Oh, you can't see it. You mount it.
Either that wasn't moved or it was moved. So there's.
Let's see here.
The other important thing.
So it looks like the tilting ones have a laptop stopper thing.
On the other side of this rug, the report talked about crossing the rug.
See here, USB.
Here we have another one of those. In this case, it's a left footprint moving towards.
Okay, let's look at this
So
one.
what we've done, unlike that drip stain at the bottom of the stairs, when you look at the footprints, we can see that the footprints directionality come from that area by the recliner. The footprints head towards the rug, and then of the photos.
Okay.
Footprints, they come.
There's
from the
USB
rug
ports right there.
to the sewing room. So based upon.
Okay, fair enough.
I mentioned before.
I'm just kind of going through and picking and looking.
The photos, it appears that someone tracked blood from. The
Okay, what about, oh, all right, this is cheaper.
Moving this way across the rug and then towards.
Oh, it goes under the mattress and swings over. I think I
Previously,
saw one similar
you didn't see a separate
earlier
or another
in our search. Where was it?
place that could have sourced essentially the blood from that.
Like this.
Yes, sir.
What
Where
does
the
that tell you
base
about the
swing,
timing
it
of
sits
that
under the bed
versus the bloodletting?
and you just turn it over. The only thing is that one's not very big.
Foot had to be contaminated.
That's something you'd have to look at, is I guess is like
That blood amassed over the evidence of the foot being there.
how much
So in other words, if I step in the blood and let's just say I take.
How much space you have,
Lighter in color,
you know.
I'm not saying white, but it's.
But I do like that idea of like it swings, it goes under the mattress and it swings, like over the bed. That's cool. Oh, that's expensive as fuck. Jesus Christ. Okay, never mind.
And I can't tell you when, but obviously prior to the blood covering over any evidence of that footprint's origination or the area it came from.
Let's do 15 to 30.
States 247, you're 31.
Yes, sir. So again, I mentioned this before. Placard number 5 here is the
What's this one?
shell casing or cartridge case.
I thought it had USB port. It does not.
We have the
USB charger.
the back of the quilt here, the recliner. Notice, remember we talked about.
I just don't have the room for one like that. Ah, that's fair.
If I have a source up here over, and I have to have a distance for that to drop to hit the floor, an unimpeded drop, right? There's nothing there. Well, is that drop
Like that's one of the nice things about the ones that don't go like under the mattress is you can fold it up and then like lay it flat.
or here I have
However you need on most of these.
a recliner,
Like to some degree they can lay it flat for the most part.
hits here, it's going to hit the side of the
Which is like why I've looked at the like that's the ones I click on the most for you. Just to look at it's like, oh cool.
that actual
Like versus like these. These don't
for lack of a better term is
these don't do a whole lot.
that blood
Like this is
lights hit that.
This is just something that like, yeah, it doesn't even like fold up. It's memory foam, which is great and everything, but like it takes up probably more space than some of the other ones.
We have to look at all of these pieces and the fact that we're behind the chair.
Than the ones you like. Okay.
Something above dripping down, creating that satellite spatter, radiating out all the way over to the wall here, all the way.
Copy link. Where's that?
None of that satellite spatter could be formed by him sitting in a reclining position in the chair.
Oh, no. Some of it could, and again, could be masked with that second shot I talked about, but not like.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like if you're gonna do the memory foam thing, you might as well use a pillow that has like some kind of like. I think the only difference with the memory foam one is it'd have some kind of like ventilation for your laptop, but even then, like that kind of defeats the purpose of it. I like this one. This one's actually really cool.
I talked about before.
It folds up.
Slightly moved. This is the front door, east wall.
It's a curved one, so you can slide it a little bit further ahead, and like in this picture,
Blood stains. I didn't
you can like this picture,
see some that
you can like
circular stain
bring your knee up and stuff, you know.
circled.
It doesn't feel like it's pushing right up against you. You can kind of have it further away or.
Which has been placed in the photograph, and what I'm showing there is the trim board, or depends, some people call it a mop board here, where we can see some additional spatter, and the number of spatter is higher there because it's.
They got some cute colors for them, depending on like whether you want a white one, and yeah, it is adjustable too.
Now, to say that's due to the dripping
Yeah,
down,
and it locks. Like these little lock systems is kind of neat.
fall back to the ground. So you say, what could be the source of this spatter? Well, if I have a
And a storage drawer for pens and stuff.
first wound,
You put your pens. And look, oh wait, where's it? Oh yeah, you can put your pens and dabbers in there.
then that could be
Like
something
you can put your vape pen in there.
wound. Because to say this by the light switch, and I forget, I think your average light switch is about
It's got a phone holder, which is nice because
above the ground.
you can
Don't see
sit there and you can put your phone in while you're gaming.
another mechanism. And the only other mechanism that we have to create spatter, small little
Oh, you know what? That's fair. I don't blame you on that. Yeah, see, it fits. It slides right under. You can slide it literally under your bed with your laptop on it when you're done.
48 marked as your 32 is from another mechanism which you're describing as the second gunshot, and some of that is on the door here that's closed.
So,
yes, sir.
okay, so real quick. Does it show the underside?
States Exhibit 249, and that's
Because that's my only thing is like,
So I've circled, and if you notice, I didn't circle all of the spatter. I tried, and there's another small one.
it's mostly to see like what the charging ports look like. Because like for this, it shows a cord.
If you notice the height of that spatter,
I say do it because we can figure out a way to get those USB charging ports to go. You have that charger block anyway. If it doesn't want to work with other shit.
that radiating pattern on
Like if it's a Type C plug, you can always get an adapter too.
you started to move away,
But it's like if you wanted to use the USB charger ports.
you can't make it out that
I think that's a good call though. Genuinely.
to this level here. And again, I'm not
Probably the best play.
switch is certainly that
Because it's better than any of the other ones that we came across.
size of the stain
Or like I did, I guess. I say we, but
ruler tape here, but
it's a good price. Comes with a little like alarm clock and light, right?
second gun
So it keeps showing it with it, but either way,
that gases and whatever, or that round
it looks like it comes with a couple of. I don't know about the alarm clock, but it comes with a little light and a fan.
this is your 34. It's
Well, and like the worst that happens, you're out like $30, right? And it's like something that won't last nearly as long as you were hoping. But even then, that's not even the worst loss. That's more of a.
taken off and moved off to the side. But what we're looking at is notice the number of stains here. And there's actually really a break between the stains. This is where that switch was. But if you notice some of that spatter, that satellite spatter is making its way over. The frequency increases as I get lower along there. So again, that goes along with that
I think that's a good idea, though, Nikki.
cross here.
Light and fan, yeah,
You know, that spatter appears
yeah.
here.
That's kind of a nice deal.
So if you recall, that door.
So you could always play at night
Body cam.
if you want to, get some gaming in while Cam's asleep, or in the morning, I guess too.
lower portion of the
Whatever.
supports the fact that that door was closed at the time of some of that.
And again, with that phone stand, it makes it so much easier for you to be able to like watch
The investigators on scene,
movie or hang out and chat in Discord.
an aluminum door, that's the pump. They refer to that as the pump. They did note, although they didn't photograph.
And like the tablet little slot, you could reuse as a spot for your phone for when we do movie night.
and just to be clear, we saw
And still be able to charge it.
vent was in fact covered, and this has been moved
Yeah,
by the
that-
crime scene team.
That vent.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Here, this was removed by investigators to take photos of the actual scene itself.
Whole group.
Your number 35, it states 251.
So this is a better view, or actually,
Emulator, BlueStack.
notice the circular stains or some.
It's like what, 2 days shipping probably? Something like that?
Move to the left, that couch, that recliner is actually blocking the path of the blood. So we would anticipate at some point that we're starting to lose that frequency or number of stains as we move to the left. Here we can see one here, we can see a
Oh yeah, it's end of my first.
see here. But again, for the most part, they're all very low.
Okay, so we got that.
Here, this almost disappears.
Oh yeah, it was arson.
Transfer stain, something coming in contact with the door at some particular point. And if you notice, it actually only goes to the base of the door. It doesn't continue. So that gives you some indication that possibly the door was open at some point.
This then would be your 36 states 252.
So this is a photograph taken by investigators. They've placed the number 10 here. But if you look at the photograph, you
All the
notice
KO.
there are some blood stains on the door here, and they're directed this way. So we have some blood stains, and in the next photograph, we see a closer view. But what this tells you is, excuse me, if the door is open, envision this spatter.
We get the cave in summer, right?
Blood's coming in at an angle. I wouldn't expect stains on that door to be circular.
I'm almost certain.
Skidding along the front of the door, so I'd expect these elliptical stains on the front of the door. Not only that, but if you notice, this is I call this the door jamb or the casing. Actually, this is the casing here. I don't see any spatter here because what happens is, when you say, well, if the door is open, why don't I have any blood here? Because think about it, straight line, and this is where photographs become deceiving. Because if blood's coming in a straight line, it's going to hit the casing, which we did see in the previous photos, but blood isn't going to come this way, then come around the corner and hit that edge of the door. So I would think, unless there's a transfer stain, which we don't
That's
see,
good.
but the blood, which we did see in previous photos, we see spatter on that casing.
I just gotta clear all this out.
Door, which is called casing. We don't see anything here. So going back to looking from all the different views, that drip pattern, everything is making sense that the only way that blood source had to be above the floor, some distance, and I can't tell you, but it was dripping there. Didn't necessarily have to stay in a single position, could be moving, but that's what created that satellite spatter.
Your 37 states 253.
Look the
Now,
chub.
this I would call a medium to a close-up range. They've placed the ruler tape or the scale here. This is metric, so it can be a little deceiving, so be careful. Yeah, it is metric. So essentially, even though you see a 2.5 is an inch, 2.54 centimeters.
I don't have bulletin board unlocked yet. Huh?
This is roughly an inch, this is roughly an inch. But notice the difference. Remember I talked about that? If the door is open...
I get a catfish.
And if you look at my hand, here if the door
No.
is open and the spatter's coming this way...
Damn it.
What's it going to do? It's going to...
Okay, so I have to wait till what, fall, I think?
These elliptical stains, the elongated stains. So as I look, here I see the elongated stains or elliptical stains, and I'm not saying elongated, but notice the tails going this
I guess if
way.
I get into the secret woods, I can do it in the fall.
Right, all of those tails. Now you
Or in the summer.
This is going this way, this is going this way. Ultimately, that's gravity. Notice how those stains start to radiate out, and they start to drop off. Well, those are the stains starting to finally, they lose all of that energy they have. This one here is still going. That's still going across. It's still
Also-
upward. And what we have here, these are just...
I guess we'll wait to see when we hear from Bobo.
occur is the door has to be open at the time these stains hit. So while
We might do the horse racing game after a bit here.
the door is open, I can't tell you how much, because one of the things I did look for was a void on the floor, because if the stains are hitting the door, not only do they hit the side, this is the outside of the door. Now remember, outside, this is outside. On the other
Such a
side,
bad thing for energy.
circular stains, because the door was closed.
I don't have the spa unlocked yet.
For is if that door is positioned over a certain portion of the floor, then it's reasonable to...
We don't have. That's a bummer that we don't have rain.
Where the door was, but in looking at the floor, I couldn't determine exactly where the door was. 'Cause
I don't have rain totems, obviously.
a little
So.
this way, slightly a little that way, absolutely. So it wasn't fixed, or at least I couldn't determine that. And Now, this is an important photo. Now, in context, this is the edge of the door.
This real quick.
Look at the difference of the shape.
We can go through lower levels.
They're all circular. So here I have that door. If you look, here's my door here. Is that door is open. That edge of the door is facing what? It's facing that parent pool as those droplets are heading
All glory.
the door.
Okay.
They're going to hit the door and it's straight on. So as we know, for the most part, they're going to be circular. Now when I go to the side of that door, so here I have that door in position, what I anticipate, and I see somewhat, I do have some stains going. Could that be the door slightly moving? But the majority of these stains, are circular. Notice the frequency increases as I drop down. But if you notice, it was pretty much circular. Where on that side of the door facing outside, they were all angular stains or elongated. So here's the door open. This happens to hit here. Satellite hits here, it's circle.
Okay.
This happens to hit on the outside side, and that's why you get your elliptical. And ultimately,
I'm like trying to fight off the urge of,
so
because I know you got to do your starlight
independently, you've
dailies,
got
which
the door, which tells me the door was closed at some time. This edge of the door, along with the outside of the door, independently,
see what
the door was open for a period
how
of
long it takes me to find the fucking line.
We don't know the rate of dripping, okay? It was open for some point and then ultimately closed by the time first officers got there.
Bingo. As much as I want.
And again, to be clear, these satellite stains that we're seeing all originate from Mr. Cooper's body being in a position where it's out over above that parent stain, not where first responders found him sitting reclined in the recliner.
No, no, sir.
Wait.
No, as in you agree with me and that's correct?
I'm sorry, yes, I agree with you, no.
Okay.
I apologize.
So he wasn't found in where he should have been.
This is
Right.
stage 255, it's your 39. What are we seeing here?
So this is a photograph, my photograph, and what I was noticing in processing as I mentioned before, I use Photoshop to enhance process some of the images. At least with Photoshop, some things are underexposed or whatever, and I can lighten up those areas to see what's there. Well, in this particular case here,
I'm not surprised by that.
Blood, as we know, is red. I made it dark. I made all of the reds dark or dark blue or black. And what we can see, or at least what I was able to determine, is I have three areas. The red, I have a green, and a blue, because I want to differentiate. This is the door right here, and we can see this is the base of the door at the lower portion of the photograph.
Don't fucking run up on me, motherfucker.
The base of the door, that's the sweep. That's that rubber portion that stops the drafts from coming in. This is the casing, so we're looking straight down. So if the door were to open, the door
This.
door's going to open this way here. And what I'm showing is there are two, let's start with the red. There's one footprint. As we've talked about before, there are footprints that show up.
Need the wings for now.
And it's pointing towards the door. It happens to be a right foot. In the green here and in the blue here, there is a footwear impression. In other words, a shoe, or some type of shoe, athletic shoe or whatever it is, some type of shoe with an outsole design created a bloody impression here and a similar impression.
As much as I want ores right now.
This is your 40, it states exhibit 256.
So, what
I
you
need to get to level
see
40.
here, we have the red, which
Yes.
is the bloody foot. But if you look here, this is the edge of a shoe here, and we can actually see the diamonds, very similar to what we saw outside. Not only that, but in one of the other photos coming up, you'll be able to see the diamonds. This is the edge of the shoe here. So, and how I can delineate or how I can tell them apart, this is the edge of the shoe, so there's a constant size to it, a strip to it. So that's bloodied and comes in contact with the floor here.
Alright, I can't go up yet because we haven't got the earthquake.
Likewise, it's back in here as well. And you'll see that when I take the photos of just the green and just the...
What do I need for fit?
And also there, with the red square around it, is that?
That's the bloody footprint, yes, sir. That's the right bare foot.
again, oriented towards that door.
And tomorrow will be
This is the base of the door here. This is that open threshold that you would
traveling.
open the door. And I referred
So
to
I gotta
the sweep or the weather strip.
sell a bunch of shit.
of the door.
Same question that I had for you earlier. We were talking about a footprint that was near the parent stain and the satellite stains. And I asked you about essentially the timing.
I have tree saplings.
Of that footprint in relation to the blood pool that we were seeing.
No,
stains,
okay.
the satellite stains. Are you able to say anything about the timing of the formation of this particular footprint?
Well, not
They're
only the
birds.
footprint, but also of the other two footwear impressions, that here we have the base in the blue and the green.
Winter 7. Okay, so we got some time. Damn it.
With blood. Likewise, we have this barefoot impression here, but we don't see any evidence of where.
We're trying to get T saplings ASAP,
blood. So we do know that this pool has amassed.
which is
So
fine. I will,
explanation is that they were contaminated prior to that pool making its way or enlarging, engulfing whatever evidence may have been.
Joja Cola.
Shoe, in this case, or the footprint was contaminated or picked up blood.
And Judge, this may be.
And
Yeah, we're right at noon, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our lunch break at this point, so I ask that you be back here ready to go at 1:30. And again, I would.
okay, we'll hang out here, and then once they're done with that, we'll switch over to
Open
Twitch.
mind, don't talk to anybody about the case, don't let anybody talk to you about the case. Don't do any sort of
Good.
investigation or research on your own, and avoid any and all media accounts, including traditional and social media, as it relates to this case. So with that, I hope you all have a good lunch.
And the Raul Valet is still deliberation. They're still deadlocked. Okay. We can sell those. I got wild seeds ready for saplings. Oh, flower. We'll save the carrots for ground. Take these parsnips. Hold on to them. Flounder. Let's. This. Oh yeah, we should probably sell shit first. Oops. Okay, so let's store up our strawberry. Okay, so yeah, I have the stuff to make a fuck ton of. Please. Oh, I'm ready. I'm proud of you on that. That reminds me I should probably do face mask. So these are all the ones I need to smoke. All right, let me grab, what do I need all? Stone and wood. Oh, I do need a copper bar. Thought so. Hi there, Bubs. Okay, so to make our 2 mayo. That's. We need more stone. That's so exciting. You're gonna be like gaming with the rest of us. Watch. First is Stardew and a laptop trade now. Next it'll be be Dreamlight on your fucking computer soon. Watch. I'm here for that, personally. I'm here for that. We're gonna put our farm stuff here. Got a lot of just wild grass. Right? Or do we put it over here? Oh, we got a lot of that. You feel so much better at the. Let me go pee real quick. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna smoke all this fish so that way I can have money to buy seeds at the beginning of summer. And then we'll worry about animals. Now I know the chubs don't make a whole much. Switch and switch only. You know what? Okay, I respect that. Madly respect that because that's a good boundary to have where you're not spending a bunch of money. Because like I know that you were like not necessarily anti put money into the game, but you were just very particular about when you would put money into the game to get certain things, and even then it's like more of a push comes to shove, I guess. Put some jet. Oh, yeah. Okay. 1000% understand then. I would do kind of the same. We have a chance to get a catfish, guys. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Fuck yes. Yes, yes. Also, you know what is sad? I made a realization today because of my conversation with work yesterday and stuff, and because I got like a new case for work. Because of that, I can't go on the game show. Like next week, like I was planning on. I had already talked to them and I already arranged it, and I was like, oh. Weird. It might just be a connection thing because mine do that with YouTube as well sometimes. It's like if my connection's just not that great, it just struggles for some reason. I don't know how to describe it. I have that problem too once in a while, and to be honest, here in like an hour, we got like an hour, if that. I might just go switch over there and do that here. Go live on there too. I just didn't want to go live too early and then, you know, hang around with everybody doing stuffs. Because right now I just want to, if I, I mean, I can. I'm just trying to like, I'm trying to keep people's streaks in mind of like streaks, like when they'd have to be working and stuff like that. I'm just trying to keep that in mind so that way, you know, we're sitting at, I guess, decent numbers, but like also people are here chatting, hanging out. Because again, once here in the next like couple of months, I'm gonna be going back to only nights for stream. Because my weekdays, afternoons should be taken up quite a bit. We'll see. Oh, why can't you go on the game show? Oh, because I have a visit. I have like a client that, because of schedule changes after summer and everything, I have to kind of set up my schedule because I have this case till October. Like this is one of my cases till October, at least, is like what it says on the file. So I will. I had to sacrifice my Saturday afternoons because of other stuff. Like I have like stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays that I can't really get around because they're also work related. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, to meet all of this, I have to adjust some other things. Yes. And to be honest, I will, as much as I love streaming and stuff like that and going on and it's fun going on these game shows and stuff. Oh fuck. I need like the game doing stuff like the game show when it's on a Saturday afternoon was like one of the unfortunate first sacrifices I have to make for that. Mostly, you know, it sucks. It is what it is though at the same time. Because I mean I gotta pay bills, you know. And this puts me at a good amount of hours at this new job now as well. So, and that's the major thing is it puts me in a lot better spot for the summer. We won't have to do it nearly like, I know I've only done like, this is like my second sponsorship I've done now for the summer. And like, I don't want to have to do it. Like this one's only 10 days and I'll probably do one more. I don't want to have to do sponsorships only during the summer and shit like that. Let's get this fish done, and then we will. Probably too late to do my watering can. Right? Because like I don't think I'm at that much iron. Yeah. What do I need for Sprinkler. Yeah, I don't have iron bars. So. Yeah. Yep, I'm gonna have to go deeper in the mine. Yeah, 2 iron's not enough. Which is fine, I just gotta... Maybe it'll be like a iridium sprinkler over there or something at the traveling merchant. We'll get ready to go over there here in a second. All right, the last beans we'll get out of those. Okay, so I will have to go get more coal. Okay. One more coal I can do. Butcher queen of the sauce. Omelet! Let's go! Once I throw this chub in there, I can go down to the traveling merchant. Once we're done with spring, yeah, we'll do a career on Mumasame, the horse racing game, horse girl game. Oh, it's fun to do 1 or 2. I want to get my roguelite fixing. Artichoke I don't need. Wool I do need. Do I need a common mushroom? Do I need a common mushroom for... I feel like I do? For a bundle? Let me look. Fall. I do for fall. I have plum. I just need a blackberry and a hazelnut. Okay. All right, so we got a couple of things that we needed. Cool. Now we don't have to worry about getting sheeps or rabbits right away. I just need to get goats, chickens, and cows. I should get duck, because ducks are probably the one I should get first. Get chickens and ducks and then cows, but... How much is a coop? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I gotta also see if I don't think I have a Joja Cola, unfortunately, so that's fine. All this. Anything else I need to arson so we can sell? I don't think so. Okay. Do I have, or I should probably look at geodes if I have any geodes to do. I only have one. That's it. Oh, okay, so just have to wall that up. Props and so I get a plot. I need to go turn in wood too. Just get those things done with, so I don't have to worry about them. I need 300 wood, so no, we're not actually going to do that yet. So I still have energy. Because I missed the watering can, didn't I? I need I need a fish. I need a fish. I need to get my shit together. I need to go to the river, fish for the catfish. Yeah, it's the last day of the month. I need to get better at checking the calendar every day, too. There's just some days I just don't even go into the town, like the actual town. On my bass. You're gonna have to try out that scroll game at some point, Mickey. See if you can play it. Ooh, have you looked at Core Keeper? I don't know if it's on sale right now. It might not be. But that's one that has been recommended to me to play a bunch. Like Cooter and Danny and all them. I know Cooter's played quite a bit of it. It's on my like list of games that I need to buy. Because they're just like good investments to have for a time. They're like kind of just cozy games. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but like I have a couple of like, I have my games that hit my spots, my needs. You know, I got Bazaar for like a battler. Got the Horse Girl game for a roguelite right now, and then we got Stardew as our cozy. I need to figure out the Battletro mod stuff so that me and Bean can do PvP Battletro. Same with Bobo. I think it'd be really fun. No, that was the catfish. That was 1000% the catfish. This. Son of a bitch. Let's get it out of the water. Thank you. What do we get for a treasure? Ooh, artifact. Fuck yeah. I don't want chubs though. Otherwise I would do it. That's so tempting. Especially because that'd be good, that'd be alright money. I just need this fucking catfish. Come on. Come on. Come on, catfish by my line, please. I probably could have. See, I don't even think I have anything to raise my fishing at the moment. I don't even think I've got jelly yet. Alright, we only got a little small window now. Come on. I'll be a catfish, please. I don't have to wait till fall. On just a catfish, you know? Ask maybe line. Let's go! Catfish. Right before the window closes. Fuck yes. I swear it comes down to this every time now. So I'm like, I gotta get this catfish in spring. I got it. And I get it on the last day of spring. Oh, it's spring 28. Year 1, I get it. And it's always in the last bit of the window where it like drags out. And it's like, oh, you really want that catfish. Oh, is this it? Is this it? Well, now all I have to do is get a sturgeon during summer. I think tiger trout is during summer. Oh, fall and winter, so I gotta wait longer. Okay. Cool, so then that means that all my, like, most of my fishing can be in the other bundles. I need to take, like, screenshots or something, or make checklists of this shit at some point. Summer and winter. Yep. Summer, winter tuna. Okay, so sardines the only one I can get on that. Do I have an eel? All eyes in fall. Okay. I think I got all the spring ones I need. Cool. Right. That's why I was like, here soon I'll probably, you should, if you haven't, make something to eat. Because I had to make something to eat for myself, just meds. Actually, let me go see if I can find any, like, big loose grass. Okay, well, there you go. That way you can sit and you can just sink in. I mean, like, what else do you have to work on tonight? No? Or today? What else is on your list? Because you got the clothes done. You folded the clothes. I would imagine you picked up some stuff while you're doing it. Folding and getting clothes around and going. I'm just assuming, to be clear. Just making assumptions. Alright, I need to upgrade my axe. And then my pickaxe. And we'll do watering can at the end of fall. Or at the end of summer. We should have sprinklers by then, but like upgrading the water can still can be handy. Like I said, if I didn't have to make stuff for to eat before I take my meds and stuff, I still wouldn't have ate. Even then, it was literally English muffins and peanut butter. And for lunch, it'll probably just be leftover mac and cheese or something. Still got some all day at. You know? Now, it all comes down to honestly right now fishing and then giving till we can get Caroline's thing up starting next week. We're at 2 stars right now, or at 1 star. I thought I had a fucking. Okay, whatever. I'll go get. I'll bring her a gift first thing tomorrow. I don't have her love to give. Just a little bit of a, but okay, let's do the racing game. we'll go back to. Okay, cool. That's up to date. Okay, and then we'll do this for now. Start our career up here soon. Where? Login, thank you. All right, how many carrots do we got? Okay, we got enough for a poll. So we'll do that when we have 2 polls we can do. Wait, okay, so what's the events going on now, I guess? Career and then daily races. Guess we'll use this one. And then, here, let me start the Twitch stream. Oh, we should probably. Oh, there you are. Okay, cool. Hi. I'll just end the YouTube stream.